the America First
This
agenda.
is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. But don't just take our word for it. Here's Jackie and Veronica, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
Our U.S.-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Just call or click to see how much you can save today. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit ConsumerCellular.com. That's 1-888-FREEDOM or ConsumerCellular.com today. Real people pay to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
President Trump signing EO after EO. Keep them coming.
E-I-E-I-O.
We'll talk to Rob Bluey from the Heritage Foundation and the Daily Signal all about that Monday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com. Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
World. Our team of journalists will give you the sharp analysis and perspective you expect from Fox News. The Fox News Rundown, the first 100 days. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Monday, February 17th. I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown. Officials from Washington and Moscow are meeting this week in Saudi Arabia to discuss how to end Russia's war with Ukraine. The 3-year anniversary of the war coming up later this month. And it was an exciting finish at the Daytona 500, which was a marathon on Sunday night. President Trump was there earlier in the day, but in the end...
And William Byron has won the 500.
Call courtesy of Fox. William Byron winning for the second year in a row. 6 of the last 8 Daytona 500 races have ended in overtime. I'm Ted Lindner. This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and newstalkstl.com.
On the next
Larry Connors, USA.
The Doge team setting its sights on the Pentagon, and how much more waste can they find in that department?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Chris Arps, and I've been a customer of Royal Banks of Missouri for many years. They are a full-service, locally owned and operated community bank with 17 locations throughout the St. Louis area, including locations in Hannibal, Jerseyville, Granite City, as well as 2 locations in St. Charles. Royal Banks offers Missouri a full range of financial services covering all of your personal and business banking needs, as well as access to over 200 ATM locations. Royal Banks of Missouri also offers convenient interactive teller machines that will connect you with a banker virtually and in real time, available at all their branch locations, and those are open weekdays from 8 to 7 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Plus, given today's headlines in the overall banking industry, it is reassuring to know Royal Banks Missouri has the highest financial ratings in St. Louis for stability and strength. That's Royal Banks Missouri, the community bank for your community. Visit them on the web at royalbanksofmo.com.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of 3 places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at serenitynowtax.com. That's serenitynowtax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, unfortunately, there's a serious threat to your home. It's called title fraud. Criminals forge a document, file it, just like that, your title is stolen. They can even take out loans against your property. That's why I'm urging you to use Home Title Lock. They provide 24/7 monitoring, alerts, and restoration of your title if fraud occurs. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use promo code BILL25 for 25% off their protection plans. That's HomeTitleLock.com, code BILL25. On this Monday, 4 weeks into the Trump administration, America has seen a 90% drop in foreign nationals trying to cross the border to seek asylum or sneak into this country. 90%. Doge, Elon Musk, has uncovered billions of dollars of wasteful spending. And now President Trump and bad Vlad Putin have agreed to talk about ending the war in Ukraine. Now, that's not bad for 4 weeks. But my question is, why didn't President Biden do any of that? What was going on for 4 years in this country? So the border totally out of control. Everybody knows it. Indefensible. Biden's never even addressed it. First day, executive order, open the border. Anybody who wants to come in can come in. We'll pay for it. Joe, that's not good. That hurt the country. Then the spending. Joe Biden, the biggest spending president in history. No explanation. And now we're seeing where all the money went. Crazy places. And finally, Putin wouldn't even talk to Biden. That's the truth. He would not even talk to the man. So those of you who voted for Kamala Harris, who's by extension Joe Biden, see if you can answer those questions. Why didn't Joe do anything? Right back. Ivermectin. It's a name you've heard before, but getting access can be a hassle. That's why you need to check out All Family Pharmacy. They're a licensed pharmacy in Florida, providing ivermectin and other hard-to-get meds. They take care of the prescription and ship it right to your door. You can even stock up in bulk. Please visit allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off. Be proactive. Being prepared isn't just a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
We were there when our nation called us to serve. We were there to write the original GI Bill and get it signed into law. When a community found itself in the middle of a natural disaster. When tragedy struck at a local school. For veterans who suffered from toxic exposure and needed a voice on Capitol Hill. And we're still serving as part of the American Legion. For more than 100 years, veterans have been strengthening our nation through the American Legion. Through programs that help our nation's youth become tomorrow's leaders. By keeping the spirit of our forefathers alive and well. And by helping veterans receive the benefits they earned through their service. The American Legion will be there for the next 100 years. Learn more about how we're helping in your community at legion.org.
Staff Sergeant Mark Anthony Madrid.
Staff Sergeant Samantha Cowell.
I'm Staff Sergeant Alex
Staff
Keeley.
Sergeant William Lewis, and I am proud to defend my family and our nation.
The Air Force Reserve is part of the story of this great nation.
I'm grateful that I have a chance to wear the uniform of the heroes that went before me.
I'm proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference in the world.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as reserve citizen airmen. Even as technology evolves and changes, our commitment to defend and protect this nation remains steadfast. We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving. We celebrate our proud history and look towards an exciting and uniting future. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
And I am proud to be a member.
And I'm proud to serve the United States. And I am proud to protect our country.
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL. For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
At first, it was all about the voters and the election, and then it was all about the executive orders. And now it looks like it's going to be kind of all about the courts regarding the executive orders following the election. Where do we go from here? Hey, good morning. Happy Monday. Mike Ferguson here. Appreciate you all, as always, making News Talk STL part of this Monday morning and starting your week right. Got some thoughts on anything we talk about? Let me just put out there early. 314-912-1019. There are more confirmation hearings, more votes still going to come, in the next week or so. But the left is looking to the courts to try to block Donald Trump on a lot of different areas. So we'll have updates for you on that. On Friday, Mark Mix from National Right to Work was with us, and not all conservatives are with Donald Trump on at least one of his picks, and this is for labor secretary. I think Donald Trump's made a number of very good picks for his cabinet and for key positions. I think he's made a couple lousy ones, but there's one in particular that may have gone too far, and I think we're about to find out just how principled are the conservatives in the U.S. Senate. And here's that conversation with Mark Mix on Friday to explain.
Is this finally the one that goes too far? And the bigger question is, does it matter on this? All right, 7:06 right now. Still ahead here just because I want to help. Because when you think of an expert on love, clearly you think of me.
Yeah, clearly.
Right. Yeah. All right. I have advice for what to write in your Valentine's Day cards.
Oh,
starting at 7:20.
Yes.
I'm going to offer you some of that advice. Just those little tidbits of love that your sweetie wants to see.
Okay. So because I'm veering between homemade card or purchase card.
Well,
so this may decide.
I'm just here to help.
Okay.
So basically I'm going to help you, Gabe.
All right. Yes.
And then everybody else can benefit from
that. Yeah, I appreciate that.
All right. Joined now by Mark Mix, National Right to Work. Mark, it's been, for the most part, despite the controversies, it's been a fairly smooth sailing process for Donald Trump's nominees for the cabinet, for the key positions. I mean, a lot of close votes and, a lot of stomping of the feet and that sort of thing. But when we talk about the Department of Labor, which is a crucial cabinet position job, I just really can't figure out why he wants former Congresswoman Lori Chavez-DeRemer. I mean, we're talking, even though she has an R in front of her name, we're talking she is completely on the side with some pretty radical left-wing unions. I mean, this is not somebody I would think that a lot of the business community and a lot of fiscal, conservatives would want. Now, she was supposed to have a hearing this week, and that all got changed with some of that East Coast weather. But what's the status right now? And then we'll get into the question mark. Is this the one that conservatives are finally going to put their foot down and say, no, you can't go this far?
Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Stell, for the chance to talk about this. You're right. I mean, most of it's gone fairly quickly, interestingly enough. When you look at you laid this administration over the last one, he is way ahead of schedule. But you're right. There are one or two left. And this Secretary of Labor position has really been an interesting kind of study of what the Trump strategy is. And frankly, it looks like it was really the Teamster boss, Sean O'Brien, that kind of orchestrated this through. And, we have a difficult time with it because she was one of three Republican co-sponsors of the PRO Act. And I think we've all talked about that before. That was the bill that has lots in it, but first and foremost wipes out every single right to work law in the country. All 26 states would lose their right to work law if the PRO Act was passed, and she's a sponsor of that. So we've got great concerns. There's a lot of moving parts still as we get to this next hearing on Wednesday of next week. So we'll see what happens then.
Morning, Mark. Gabe here. So we've heard the bad and the ugly, I guess, about this particular nomination. Is there any good there? Are there any areas where you're just like, okay, well, at the very least, give her that one?
Well, Gabe, it sounds like you're a little congested. I hope you're feeling better.
Well, it's the entire radio station. We have all been knocked on our butts here. Like every show, it's been crazy.
Yeah, we're all recovering from the plague, but we're okay.
Well, Gabe, to answer that question, I think, what Donald Trump and what his campaign tried to do, and they did it successfully, was their agenda resonated with working class people. And I hate to use that kind of designation to define a demographic, but I mean, we're all working class, obviously. We're all working and working Americans. But somehow, folks inside of the operation and a couple of senators, including yours from Missouri, Josh Hawley, have said that the only way we can continue to attract more rank and file workers and more working class people is to talk to them about issues. But Hawley's idea about it, and Mark Williams from Oklahoma, their idea is to continue to court union officials. And that's how we talk to working Americans and give union officials more power is somehow a solution. And Lori Chavez-DeRemer is kind of a poster child for that as a Republican, as we mentioned, Mike, with an R behind her name. But her agenda, not only is proactive wage work laws, but she's also interested in having the federal government impose unionism on all government employees at state level, which is really outrageous. And then she wants to unionize TSA and employees. And so we're things about unionization, particularly in the public sector. And then when it comes to the private sector, we're running another issue regarding how workers are given rights. She's really controversial, but I think she's going to make it out of committee. I think Josh Hall is now on the Senate Labor Committee will vote for. I think Mark Wayne Mullen, who's on Labor Committee, will vote for. And those two votes right there get her across the line and she gets all the Democrats. However, Mike, to your point, there's been some new interesting incidents available, and that is the Democrats have said they're going to vote against every Donald Trump nominee going forward. There's not many left because of the Doge thing and Elon Musk. So we'll see what happens.
Good morning, Mark Stell here. So if she does not make it, is there someone you would like to recommend?
Yes, Stell, we actually talked to the transition team on a couple of different occasions about this, and there were some names that were mentioned. We mentioned a couple of names, and particularly one who was the acting labor secretary in the first Trump administration, a guy by the name of Pat Pasella, who had been at the Department of Labor under Elaine Chao and had been there under Trump. And he was well qualified, had really done a great job of kind of organizing and exposing and bringing transparency to the department. So the same was in the hopper. Others were asked to send information. Then all of a sudden, as the story goes, and this is secondhand information, so there was a regular process in order. Lots of names were being submitted. And then all of a sudden, Sean O'Brien indicates that he calls Trump on his cell phone and says, I want this gal. And that brings us to this day. So that's where we are.
We're visiting with Mark Mix from National Right to Work, and we're going to give you the contact information there. And so it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to give the left we're going to throw them a bone here. We're going to give them a token, cabinet secretary. I have no idea what's been going on with Josh Hawley over the past few years. It's been weird to watch him go big government Republicanism, then just big government, leading a big government pseudo conservative. I don't know what's going on with Josh, but it's been really bizarre to see him jump all in on the pro labor union thing. And for those who may say, okay, you know what, he got elected, just give him what he wants. What's really at stake? You mentioned the PRO Act here, but we're really talking about basically how powerful public sector, not just private sector, but public sector unions are going to be, especially in an era where we're trying to reduce the scope and the size and the cost and the reach of government. So what's really at stake over the next administration?
Yeah, well, that's a great point, Mike. And I'm kind of confused and confuddled, too, about this, because now Josh Hawley, not only is he courting Lori Chavez-DeRemer to be the Secretary of Labor, he's got a new bill that he's calling kind of PRO Act Light. And he has put out a framework of a bill that dramatically expands union official power and imposes more federal control over the workforce. So I'm not sure where he's going with all this, but what we do know is that there is a move, and there's a certain group of Republicans that think that in order to attract rank and file workers to the Republican Party and become the worker party, if you will, is to give union officials more power. I don't understand that. I think the American people supported, and the American working class, if you want to continue to call them that, supported a secure border. They supported a smaller government. They supported less taxes. They supported less regulation. They supported keeping men out of women's bathrooms. And so that's how Trump gained support from rank and file workers. And, union officials now control 5.9% of the private sector workforce. So it's their problem. They're losing their membership because of the positions they're taking. And one of the really kind of exposed things here is that when you look at the political reporting of the presidential campaign donations by unions gave $59 million to the Kamala Harris campaign, and they gave Donald Trump's campaign $284,000. Yeah. And yet Donald Trump won private sector union members across the country in this last election. So it's really interesting. There's a lot of work to do on this and to continue to bring attention to it. But this Chavez-DeRemer nomination will be kind of the start of that. It's kind of a starter's pistol, if you will, as we head into the Trump administration in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I just kind of want to shake some of these politicians by the shoulders and, starting with Josh Hawley and go, you can get in bed with them if you want, but they don't like you and they're never going to like you. And they're never, the bosses are going to side against you every single time. You don't need to be at their cool kids table. They're not the cool kids,
Yeah, that's right. And Josh Hawley has resonated obviously with the people of Missouri and his positions previously. He can talk to working Missourians and working Americans without having to go through the lens of a union official and talking to, Sean Fain and walking a picket line from the UAW. And I mean, that's all fine and good. Don't hold that against him. But the idea that he wants to expand union boss power and expand federal government power over the American workplace is really not a solution. I don't know where he comes up with that stuff.
Yeah, I know. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. All right. Mark, people want to connect with, especially with the action items. This is one where, I really think that conservatives need to be, if nothing else, contacting Eric Schmidt, because I haven't heard what Eric Schmidt is planning to do. Josh Hawley, unfortunately, is all in on this nominee. On the Illinois side, both of the U.S. senators are obviously going to vote against her just because of the partisanship on this. But on the Missouri side, I think people really ought to be contacting Eric Schmidt with the request to oppose this nomination. You've got some resources, I'm assuming, online, right?
Yeah, indeed. You can go to the committee's website, nrtwc.org, and get information about this. And obviously, calling your senators is the right thing to do. This is how we continue this grand experiment in self-government. That's for sure.
All right. Mark Mix, National Right to Work. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mike. Get better, guys.
All right. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. 314-912-1019. We got a lot of ground to cover, including a conversation with Congressman Bob Onder. He's going to be with us right around 7:35. Here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Next.
My fellow citizens, the golden age of America begins right now.
Happens right here.
We will not forget our country. We will not forget our Constitution.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
St. Louis Pizza and Wings is your local family-owned restaurant on Telegraph Road.
We've got mouth-watering pizza, pasta, wings, burgers, and sandwiches. Even a pet menu for your furry friend.
Incredible weekly specials, dine-in or carry-out, online ordering at stlpw.com. And our wings,
absolutely legendary. Mention Newstalk STL and get $5 off your $30 order.
Visit stlpw.com. St. Louis Pizza and Wings.
Endless choices, guaranteed satisfaction.
Sievers JCB, a trusted leader in agriculture and construction. Connect with SieversJCB.com and browse their inventory or stop by and let them show you the capabilities of the JCB lineup. Telebooms, skid steers, loaders, forklifts, excavators, backhoes, and more. JCB has pushed diesel to its limits with machines that now emit 50% less CO2. JCB's new Icon software system will blow your mind, offering iConfigure, iConnect, and iControl. Learn more at SieversJCB.com.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the News Talk STL app.
And listen anytime,
Everywhere.
anywhere.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, you've probably already prepared for a couple days worth of crappy weather, but just in case, here's your notice. Looks like the storm that's coming our way is going to be pretty legit.
Yeah, I think so.
Going to be not going to be catastrophic,
but we'll see a lot of snow.
Yeah, we're going to get not clobbered, but maybe a little bit of, hey, dude, what was that? Is that fair to say?
And some cold temperatures.
Very cold, as in we're going to get up at some morning, you're going to see below zero, and you're like, there's no reason for this. This is illogical. I don't want this. But it is going to affect how things are going to go. We're going to need the update here in just a little bit. 5:52. All right, our app. That is basically we're waiting on one final approval / final check of everything. This thing's ready to go. It's been tested, retested, thrice tested, quadruple tested. So go ahead and get our app now and then get the automatic upgrade once that's ready, which could be any day now. And yes, for those of you who are asking, it is going to be compatible with CarPlay. So that is up to the minute. It's going to be great.
It'll be awesome.
Yep. All right. 5:52 right now. Okay. So I want to get into more details here in a little bit. But let's go ahead and give a preview of what's coming with this weather. So we could see a few snowflakes today. And not much, maybe a little bit of fluffy snow. When I drove in about, when I came in, I don't know, it was about 3:15 or something like that. I actually saw some crews out salting the roads and the sidewalk, and not sidewalks, but the driveways.
Mm-hmm.
So there are crews that are out now. They're getting ready for this. But the bottom line is that right around maybe 24 hours from right now, assuming that they don't make any changes to the forecast, right about 24 hours from right now is when the first edge of that snowstorm is going to come into the St. Louis metro area. And this is going to be a storm.
Yeah, by the time it ends on Wednesday, later in the day on Wednesday, we could have 6 to 9 inches in the metro area.
Yeah, and the farther south you go, it looks like the more snow you could be getting.
That's right.
So Farmington, brace yourself.
Yeah.
So, basically what it comes down to is after that big storm, okay, I'm actually not sick. I just had some peanuts right before and I got a little bit in my throat right there. I actually feel fine. I'm actually got back to working out yesterday and everything. So I'm actually kind of back amongst the living here. Okay. So it does not look, unless you've seen something different than I've seen still. I have not seen any references to wintry mixes or sleet or ice. We're just looking at a snowstorm.
Yes. And supposedly light, fluffy snow.
Right.
Which really doesn't mean a whole lot unless you actually take care of it when it comes down, because once it gets packed, you're back to a situation of, packed snow on the ground and possible ice. But it should be okay.
And kids, this is the kind of snow that you want to go sledding.
That could be.
Not good snowball.
No, not at all.
But good sledding. So that's the important thing for the kids, because you know how we roll here in St. Louis is basically we see enough snow and we cancel everything. So there's a chance this stuff's going to be canceled Tuesday, maybe into Wednesday. Who knows? If they get out ahead of it, it really shouldn't be a huge deal. But we're talking about an inch of snow per hour at some point Tuesday afternoon, evening, and even into Wednesday as well.
And then morning lows, especially on Wednesday morning, below 0, 5 or 6 below.
The actual temperature.
Yes.
Yeah. So I filled up my car with gas yesterday. And so, do all the kind of stuff. Everybody's probably pretty well stocked at this point. You do not need to go into apocalyptic survival mode for this. But it's going to be kind of for a couple days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the time the weekend rolls around, we'll be back to hopefully in the 30s.
Right. All right. Speaking of Cardinals reported to spring training, full squad today. Boy, they got some awkwardness that's happening because the team is like, hey, we got this future Hall of Famer in the prime of his career, Nolan Arenado. We want to get rid of him. Of course, Nolan Arenado has been around long enough. He's got a contract that says he has some say in where he goes, and nothing worked out. You know, there were some reports of like the Astros being interested in him. He was apparently interested in going to play for the Dodgers because basically you're guaranteed another World Series at that point. But nothing worked out. And so Nolan Arenado's in Jupiter, and he's reporting to camp with the rest of the team today. So will Nolan Arenado be a Cardinal on opening day? I don't know the answer to that.
That's a huge question. That's tough to answer.
And here's the thing is if Nolan Arenado is a Cardinal come opening day, which by the way, in case the front office isn't aware, having a future Hall of Famer in the prime of his career is a good thing. But they seem to want to save money and not take the quality that comes with that. But with Paul Goldschmidt now a New York Yankee, this is Nolan Arenado's team. I mean, I couldn't imagine that he would not be the team captain. So you get the front office who says, hey, we like the guy. We just don't want to spend the money on quality, which seems to be the theme for this year. They don't want to spend the money on quality, go get a bunch of young kids and then let them get beat up for 2025. And then say, okay, let's go in 2026 or 2027. That seems to be what they're trying to do. But you've got Nolan Arenado with this wealth of experience. He's at the pinnacle of his career right now. And he could be, a tremendous leader. By all accounts, he's a baseball player, great influence in the locker room. And by the way, probably the best defensive third baseman in the game. And you've got the rest of the players like, well, why are they trying to get rid of him?
Knowing the type of guy Arenado is, I think he will push himself.
Yeah.
To have as great a season as he can have.
Yeah, I think so too. Because he had some injuries, he was didn't have a great offensive year. Defensively, he's just as solid as it gets. I mean, he's won 10 or 11 Gold Gloves. So yeah, hopefully the Cardinals just kind of embrace what they have there with him and let him lead this team and try to make something happen this year. We'll see. It'll be up to the players because the front office just is being dumb.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189 million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the Sabos radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The Kremlin says Foreign Minister Lavrov is leading a high-level Russian delegation to Saudi Arabia for talks with senior U.S. officials, including Secretary of State Rubio. They'll discuss repairing ties between Washington and Moscow and ending the war in Ukraine. They'll also lay the groundwork for a Trump-Putin meeting. Senior European leaders gathering in Paris for an emergency summit focusing on Trump administration moves regarding Ukraine.
French officials are trying to make this emergency summit sound almost routine, an informal opportunity for European leaders to discuss a joint response to America's abrupt and unilateral moves to end the war in Ukraine. The French foreign minister told a radio station here that we must keep our cool and not be intimidated. But there is no hiding the anger and the confusion triggered by Washington's suggestion that it may sideline both Europe and Ukraine to cut a peace deal directly with Russia's President Putin.
The BBC's Andrew Harding. Devastating flooding has claimed at least 9 lives in Kentucky. President Trump approving the state's request for a federal disaster declaration. Governor Andy Beshear says a winter storm could add to the misery starting tomorrow into Wednesday, and one death in Georgia blamed on severe weather. President Trump's slashing of the federal workforce goes on, and more jobs will be cut this week.
Efforts to shrink the size of the government payroll reached the Food and Drug Administration over the weekend. Sources say recently hired employees at the FDA who review the safety of food ingredients, medical devices, and other products were fired on Saturday evening. Meanwhile, there are reports that the IRS will lay off thousands of probationary workers as soon as this week. Greg Clugston, Washington.
It's President's Day, and that means the stock market has the day off. Back to business as usual tomorrow. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten. Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first low forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
You talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
And I'm sick and tired of it.
101.9 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up!
Can't you hear the alarm?
Stand up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, get up. This is your cousin Rob.
All right. Well, I've already seen the first report now of like the news reporter standing outside on the TV, like people are stocking up before the winter storm.
Oh, we're back to this.
We're back to that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
French toast
all
around.
party.
It's all around.
Except those are expensive now, man, with the price of eggs.
That's true. It's like just shy of $10 basically for a dozen.
In some parts of the country, some convenience stores apparently are selling egg Lucy's. You can buy like 3 for like $10. Jeez.
That's a dangerous trench coat transport.
I know.
I'll tell you
that's
what.
right. That's right. Oh my gosh, you want an egg? You want an egg? Yes, let me hug you. No. Oh man. All right, 6:06 right now. Death has returned to the Show Me State thanks to the voting of a slight majority in November. We're going to cover that because this was a significant weekend when it comes to abortion in Missouri. And are you for freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of thought? Well, guess who thinks you could become a Nazi or something? That. Yeah. Geez. All right. And the Redbirds are back in Florida. Let's got a lot of ground to cover here. Let's go and dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right. At least one preborn child has been legally killed in Missouri again. This happened at the Planned Parenthood in Kansas City over the weekend after a judge struck down the state's licensing requirements for abortion clinics. That ruling follows the passage of Amendment 3 in November, which essentially legalized most abortions in the state. Abortion activists say killing will resume at the St. Louis Planned Parenthood at any time. That's assuming that it hasn't already. But of course, they were all over this, basically get in here and start killing as fast as they can after that ruling. I mean, within
happy
hours.
about it, yeah.
Yeah, within hours, just absolutely ghoulish. So, we're going to talk about that here. And I got to tell you right now, there are going to be some people who don't like my thoughts on some of this, because I will tell you right up front, if you were one of those who was like, oh, no, I guess I misunderstood. I didn't mean to vote for it. Oh, well. No, that's not good enough.
No, it's definitely not.
If you chose not to speak up because you didn't want the conflict, you want the drama, you know what, but people can disagree on this. If you're for instance, there are churches that chose not to speak up on this. I recently walked out of one and said I would never go back. That's just one of the many reasons I wouldn't go back to that crap church, crap leftist church. But there are churches that just didn't really want to ruffle the feathers.
Right.
There's a lot of people who should be searching their souls right now because there is at least one confirmed death. And if you didn't fight back and you didn't fight this, I'm going to argue you're partially responsible for that death.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. All right. A winter storm is moving into the area in just about 24 hours. So as of right now, the forecast is for the snow to hit the St. Louis metro around 6 a.m. on Tuesday, with the heaviest snow expected Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening. So as of right now, the models are looking at 4 to 9 inches of snow is what we're seeing right now, Stel.
I would say more like 6 to 9.
6 to 9
in the
inches
metro
of snow.
area.
Okay. So that's Tuesday and Wednesday put
Yes.
together. Right. So the farther south you go, the more snow is expected, with Farmington, for instance, possibly getting up to a foot of snow.
Yeah, 7 to 12 south of us.
Man,
Here
that's
it
a lot of
comes
snow.
again.
Now it's the light, fluffy snow.
Right. So hopefully it'll push pretty easy.
Yeah. So it should be, and honestly, assuming that the forecast play out, this really shouldn't be catastrophic, but I would expect some cancellations rather. And that I didn't need extra syllables in there. Cancellations. And then look for it to affect things throughout the day, Tuesday and Wednesday, because even those people who have lived in the Midwest all their lives for some reason forget how to drive when it's snowing, but we could see upwards of an inch of snow per hour.
And remember that we've got literally a polar vortex type of situation with lows on Wednesday morning, maybe 5 to 6 below zero. And if that's the case, toss in the wind plus the snow. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, Wednesday during the day could be pretty nasty.
So if you're going to be watching us on video, you're basically going to see all of us in the same 4 or 5 sweatshirts that we've been wearing all winter.
Probably.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, which one did I wear yesterday? I don't remember. All right. The head of the Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, of course, he's getting a lot of scrutiny for his involvement in sweeping reforms across the federal government. I think you could say sweeping reform is fair to say.
Yeah.
As many, it's kind of funny how people are now going after the bromance between him and Donald Trump.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Virginia Senator Tim Kaine was on Fox News Sunday, and he's critical of that relationship between the president and Elon Musk.
The message out of the gate is this is a group of people that want to pad their own pocket. They're going to cut things to try to amass a lot of dollars that they're then going to use to do tax cuts for the wealthiest. And that's the playbook we saw in the first Trump term, and I think we're seeing it again.
So that's what we're hearing is tax cuts for the wealthy.
Wait a minute.
We're just trying to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy.
What? That's the argument they're going with. It's like they're just trying to make government more efficient and get rid of rampant government abuse and tax dollar abuse so they can get more rich.
Why do you hate the children?
So stupid.
They didn't say that.
That's
but
dumb.
Worse stuff. Yeah,
that's a dumb line of argument.
Oh man. Congressman Tim Burchett, a Republican out of Tennessee, was on Fox News Channel's Fox News Live, and he says, "Hey, you know what? We're looking at about $1.9 billion rather recovered from the Department of Housing and Urban Development just from improper payments." He says that's probably a lot more out there.
I think you're going to see these so-called accounting errors throughout government because there has been no oversight whatsoever.
A federal judge has extended a ban on the Department of Government Efficiency's access to Treasury Department records. 19 states are suing to stop DOJ from digging into the records.
See, this is the type of stuff that absolutely gets a lot of people, a lot of normies basically riled up. And I'm glad they're fighting it this way. I'm glad the left is showing their cards by coming out on the side of the grifters and the government largesse and all the crazy spending and all these because what they're showing is that they don't actually care about you and where your tax dollars go as much as they say they do.
Right. President Trump putting basically the entire world on notice with a plan to impose what's being called reciprocal tariffs.
The president has directed his administration's top trade officials to outline a new series of tariffs, calling it a matter of fairness.
We're just going to do it the easy way, and we're just going to say whatever you charge, we charge. And I think that's fair for the people of the United States.
He predicted the tariffs would lead to more U.S. jobs, but acknowledged prices could go higher in the short term. The reciprocal tariffs aren't scheduled to take effect until at least April. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Are there 12-step programs for people who are addicted to imposing tariffs?
I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure. Now, if there was, people would recommend Donald Trump. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Yeah. Basically, it's like tariffs for everybody. He's like the Oprah of tariffs. Jeez. And yes, it's not a matter of they could raise prices. They will raise prices. That's just an economic certainty if and when these are put into place all over the place. All right. Democrats on Capitol Hill threatening to allow a partial government shutdown. Oh, are they trying to make me like them again? I haven't liked them in a long time. All right. That's an effort to protest the federal budget cuts proposed by Donald Trump and DOJ. And now House Speaker Mike Johnson talks about that on Fox's Life, Liberty, and Levin over the weekend.
Shutting the government down would be very irresponsible. And in every other scenario, they always decry that as a terribly irresponsible step to take.
See, here they go teasing us again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, I'll take it.
I don't care if the Democrats or the Republicans cause the government shutdown. You keep promising and you keep threatening and you never deliver.
You know what? Maybe, because here's the thing. Maybe you let the government shutdown happen. The non-essential workers kind of go home, and that gives you another opportunity to have a round of layoffs for all the people who are apparently not essential for government for government function.
That's what we're finding is that there's a lot of people who have discovered, they know I'm not essential now.
Yeah.
That's really what's happening.
They know I've been quote unquote working from home on Netflix.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, goodness. All right. The cold weather and the shorter daylight hours can lead to what's called seasonal affective disorder, basically making the winter months tougher to get through emotionally, at least according to some medical professionals. The theory is this, guys. that getting less sunlight has a physical impact on us. Bailey Pyle is from Burrell Behavioral Health in Branson, and she says you can still get sunlight even if you cannot get outdoors this week because of all that really bad stuff that Stell's telling us is going to come.
Maybe it means you're reading your favorite book by an open window and getting filtered sunlight that way. We can eat hearty and nutritious foods that can help sustain and fulfill that energy need that oftentimes vitamin D gives us from the sun.
Okay, so seasonal affective disorder is not the same thing as depression or a mental illness.
Right.
But basically, it's the winter blues.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a real thing for a lot of people.
Your body craves sunlight, and when you get a whole lot less of it, all of a sudden, it kind of feels bluesy.
Yeah, we have a coworker who deals with it every winter, Chris Harps.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, seriously.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've had long discussions in our office about it because a lot of days when he comes in, it's something that he's been dealing with all day, and he gets through it okay.
Sure,
but it is something that he deals with in the winter.
Because December 21st is the day of the least amount of sunlight.
That's right, shortest day.
Shortest day of the year, which actually was my parents' wedding anniversary. December 21st.
Day before my birthday.
There it is. Yeah. And of course, then I figured out that was the longest night of the year sometime in my high school years. And I'm like, wait a minute. All right.
Wait a
anyway,
minute.
I'm going to go ahead and move on from there.
Baptists.
But yeah. All right. The Cardinals full squad is back in Jupiter. Their first spring training game, believe it or not, is Saturday.
What?
Saturday. Yeah.
Already?
Yeah.
That feels weird.
Yeah. The big question is whether a team is going to have Nolan Arenado on the roster by opening day. The front office has done everything they can to get rid of the best player because they don't want to spend the money. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if they keep Nolan Arenado, he's going to be a phenomenal asset to the club. We'll just see what they think on that. All right, 314-912-1019. Got a lot going on here, including things got really, really real over the weekend after Amendment 3. I'll give you the update on that just ahead here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Stop right now before you blow us all away. You want to do that? Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at intervine.com.
Hi, this is Missouri Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. I wanted to invite you to the annual Missouri State Lincoln Days occurring on March 7th through the 9th. I plan on being there to celebrate President Trump's huge victory, and we swept the state with statewide elected officials. I also hope to be there. You can register at mogop.org. It's mogop.org. Look forward to seeing you on March 7th through the 9th in St. Louis. Let's make Missouri great again.
Learn more and get tickets at mogop.org.
Paid for by the Missouri Republican Party. Jennifer Finch, Treasurer.
Looking for a unique dining experience? Discover Affinity Kitchen, the Midwest's only authentic Uyghur restaurant, now open in Chesterfield Valley. Join us for a culinary journey through halal Chinese cuisine that's already winning hearts in New York and LA. Our locally owned restaurant brings the vibrant flavors of Uyghur culture right to St. Louis. Visit us today and receive a free eco tote bag with any purchase over $35. Affinity Kitchen, where tradition meets taste. Find us in Chesterfield Valley or online at affindykitchen.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy, Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, elections have consequences, and I hope there's a lot of Missourians searching their consciences right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to I know it's Monday morning, it's early, but let's get real on this. I mean, let's just have that conversation. By the way, guess what's Nazi-esque right now, according to the mainstream media?
Is this being added to the many things on the list of white supremacy?
Yeah, freedom of speech.
Okay, freedom of speech.
So,
all right, there it is.
But I would tell you one thing: it's not just the media saying that. Let's get the bigger background. Let's do that at 6:35. If you did not see, Secretary of State Marco Rubio basically have to treat Margaret Brennan like a child on her own show,
right?
Because what she said was so incredibly stupid. And there's like a local journalist arguing with people right now saying she's right.
Really?
Yeah, Mark Maxwell.
Oh my gosh.
But, I mean, just stupid.
And let's not discuss that little 60 Minutes segment with the German lawyers.
Yes.
it's like, really, Germany?
Yeah.
It's like, come on.
Did that air this weekend? When was it? I mean, or that was I don't think it was this weekend. But
I don't know, but it's making the rounds on social media as a touchstone.
Because they followed, literally CBS was embedded with police who did middle of the night raids on people who posted things that were considered offensive.
Right.
And people were being arrested and they were being fined and some of them were being taken to jail. And then Margaret Brennan, and we'll talk about this again at 6:35, trying to challenge our Secretary of State, basically saying, well, we all know that freedom of speech is one of the reasons the Holocaust happened.
We all know.
I mean, just one of the dumbest things. And if you're thinking, Mike, you can't be that dumb, I will play the audio for you at 6:35. We'll talk about that.
Yep.
6:21 right now, by the way. Okay, so killing has resumed in Missouri via the first legal abortion in years, hours after a judge ruled in Jackson County, which is where Kansas City is, of course, that due to the changes in the state constitution via Amendment 3, the Rowden Amendment, the basic licensing requirements for abortion clinics was considered discriminatory and illegal under the state constitution.
Oh my gosh! Now we're talking about rules about cleanliness, and
procedures and best practices,
certifications, and all the just things that you would think would limit the capacities on or regulate medical facilities.
Right.
All of those are gone now for abortion.
Yeah, for abortion clinics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, their headline on social media, it just said, inside Casey Clinic for first abortion since the end of Missouri ban. Quote, they're quoting, so someone in there called that incredibly meaningful. Incredibly meaningful.
Well, you know what? It is meaningful on some level, but certainly not the level I believe they intended.
So this ruling and the fact that death has resumed in Missouri, and I want to put this as bluntly and as uncomfortably as possible.
Yeah.
Let's not sanitize what's happening.
The child sacrifices have restarted in Missouri.
This is because of Amendment 3 passing, which is what I call the Caleb Rowden Amendment. Yes, we were warned. Yes, Missouri's Republicans could have stopped this, but they were too focused on feuding with the Freedom Caucus.
That's right.
The Freedom Caucus caught a lot of slack, caught a lot of pushback, because back in February of last year, they were saying initiative petition reform has to happen. We've got to prioritize right now. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen. And Caleb Rowden and Cindy Laughlin and some of the others responded with punishing the Freedom Caucus members, kicking them out of their offices, taking away their
parking spots,
stripping them of chairmanships. I mean, so basically they got into a feud because the Freedom Caucus flat out said, you have failed in years past. They're going to put this on the ballot. We have to have this to raise the standard. Otherwise, elective abortions are going to come back to Missouri. And they were right. The Freedom Caucus was right. If you want to get mad at their tactics, so be it. But they were right. We were warned, and out of ego and arrogance and that deep state mindset that the leadership had last year, they failed once again to allow initiative petition reform to happen in August, which would have raised the bar and prevented Amendment 3 from passing in November.
I dare say they did it intentionally. It's hard. It's hard to look at it. It's hard to look at the situation and all the warnings that were there. Basically the rest of us weren't exactly reading tea leaves when we saw that this was coming. This was going to be a problem, and unless this got done in a very specific and very quick way, that we were going to have death return to
Right.
Missouri. We all saw it, and the fact that they fumbled the ball so badly, it makes me think, okay, they didn't even attempt the catch. They just dropped it.
Right. And so now, and we're going to find out what's next right around 7:05. Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life is going to be here with us. So we'll talk about what's next. But here's the thing is the politics of this is going to take a long time. I would be shocked if there were not a child or children murdered in St. Louis's Planned Parenthood over the weekend. I'd be shocked.
It's got to happen.
I mean, if it hasn't happened already, it's going to happen anytime now. So that means we've got to invest in the person-to-person pro-life work. I'm not talking about the political work. I mean, yes, we got to do the policy thing, but there's a lot of people who think I'm pro-life because I vote pro-life or I vote Republican or whatever the case is. I'm talking about investing in the people who are going to get out there and do the work and offer the resources to young women in crisis pregnancies. And we have to put a focus on that. We just have to.
Yeah.
All right. So lives are literally being lost now. So it's real. There's been one documented and now celebrated death in the state of Missouri. Okay. So for those who, and I think we've all run into somebody's like, well, I voted for it, but I didn't think that's what it was. They said it was, even though
it was
you
women's
warned.
health care, didn't they tell us?
Right.
Women's health care?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were warned over and over and over again.
We told you.
Yeah, we told you. For those of you who didn't speak up, you didn't want drama, you didn't want conflict. You knew that, your daughter's college friends would get mad, or nobody wants that. Just, leave people alone, let them vote however they want, and don't worry about it.
Or even if you like, well, I think the current law goes too far. We want to, like, even if that was your argument, I'm not giving you a pass on that.
No, I'm not. Just understand that for all of those people we just described, you are part of the reason at least one person's blood's been spilled in the state of Missouri.
Yes. And more will be.
Yes. And you had a hand in every death that's going to be commencing today, tomorrow, the day after that. You should be in a mindset of repentance.
Yes, absolutely.
As in begging for forgiveness for your part in this. If your church did not speak up about Amendment 3, the church that I used to go to refused to speak up on Amendment 3 or anything pro-life. But February, they celebrate Mother Africa for Black History Month all month long. It's stupid idolatry, which is why I can't tolerate that stupid, intellectually dishonest church anymore. And I left. Unfortunately, I know people who still go there. But if you did not speak up, recognizing how immoral this is, I'm not saying to get involved in every political issue. I don't think churches should get involved in every political issue. This wasn't your basic run-of-the-mill political issue.
Well, there was a moral issue.
Yeah.
I mean, and you could have easily, as a church, and as I'm a church leader, you can get involved in the moral issue without specifically addressing the political. The political just is a consequence of understanding the moral underpinnings.
Right.
And as an intellectual person, you as a congregant should get the idea.
Right. And so for the churches that were either too weak or just too leftist, I'm glad I'm not going to have to answer the questions about this that you're going to have to answer someday.
Yes.
And you should be ashamed of yourselves. Pastors should be resigning and finding a different way to make a living.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I've been saying this forever about the abortion issue, that it's basically the equivalent of the slavery issue in the 1850s. So if you're
explain that a little more. Yeah.
Okay. So the intellectual underpinnings, or I should say the philosophical ideas that underpinned the subjugation and abuse of an entire people group in the black slave trade in America was based on the idea that there are some people who are not actually people and they shouldn't count as people under the law. And that was the idea. It's like, hey, if you don't want a slave, don't get a slave. You know what I mean? It's like slaves aren't really people. They're just slaves. I mean, or actually, we'll acknowledge that they're human, but they're not the same as us.
Right.
They're all of those are the same arguments that people use to justify abortion. It's like, well, they're not. It's not really the same as it's just a fetus. It's not really a baby. And because of that, then if you don't want an abortion, don't get an abortion. A lot of the same arguments are the same. And just because the culture accepts it as a legal thing, just because society and the law was protecting this immoral thing, didn't remove the moral requirement of individuals who know better to fight against it. And so the people who feel as though they would be the on the side of the righteous abolitionists back in the 1850s or something like that, who are pro-abortion now or who are pro-abortion access now. No, you're lying to yourself. Right. You wouldn't have been on the side of the heroes. You would have been on the side of the status quo villains.
All right, just ahead here, freedom of speech. Margaret Brennan decides to show the world how smart she is. And just makes up stuff about history.
She's becoming the poster child for the faux intellectual leftist journalistic stupidity.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing is it didn't start with Margaret Brennan. It didn't start with the mainstream media.
You're right.
But I'm going to point out, you're going to hear Marco Rubio's response to her. And he did something so crucial that absolutely more conservatives and more whether it's MAGA or whatever, more people need to be doing and stopping and going, no, your question's dishonest. And let's talk about that just ahead.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Company. Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
I answered the call. Together, we fought for our nation and its people. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will continue to support my country and my community. Then and now, Semper Fidelis remains my promise. Always faithful, always Marine.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Monday on the Allman Report, all the crazy, nutty stuff from around the weekend. You're going to love it. It's the Allman Report on News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman. Weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
That's interesting. This music matches your sweatshirt.
It does. Striper. You said that. I'm like, oh yeah, striper. Because we go back to like when the weather's really cold. I've got like 4 or 5 sweatshirts that I just rotate. I've got this one. I've got my News Talk one. I've got my Battlehawks one. I've got my Jackie Robinson one.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one.
There's now a News Talk quarter zip that we've got too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
That's right.
That's
Not as thick. I always get that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
All right. According to CBS's Margaret Brennan, we get to Nazis by allowing freedom of speech or something like that.
It's so
This
stupid.
is so ridiculous.
It's amazing.
Oh my goodness. Don't forget News Talk STL's podcast are on-demand listening. Be sure to subscribe. You just pick and choose what you want to listen to. Like, for instance, this conversation we're about to have with Steve Rupp. This is going to be one you're going to want to download or you're going to want to forward and share with people because this is crucial. Not because it's Republican versus Democrat or conservative versus, but because it's life versus death. And that's the information we're going to bring you in about a half an hour from right now. Okay. The media is going to critique Vice President Vance's kind of in-your-face address to European leaders. Okay, that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, they did.
That's
Certainly
what
did.
they do. And they did. That's fine. I mean, they're going to find ways to critique it because that's what media does. Fine.
There was a lot of scoffing,
Yeah.
we'll say, in response to his address.
Yeah. And there were a lot of robust discussions Thursday, Friday, Saturday over what Vance had to say to European leaders. And okay, that's fine. I got no issue with that whatsoever. But trying to make a connection, I'm not making this up, to Hitler and the Nazis, because Vance pointed out that freedom of speech and freedom of expression are being squeezed in more parts of the world, that going straight to Hitler and Nazi should even be too low for the mainstream media.
You would think
Right.
that would kind of raise alarm. But it's like, is that really the direction that we want to go with our commentary here?
So on CBS's Face the Nation, Margaret Brennan is interviewing Secretary Marco Rubio, and she's challenging, the Vance speech to the Secretary of State.
Sure.
Basically, saying that, this focus on calling out our allies over their freedom of speech is just a bad thing. But get where she goes with this comparison. This is from the show. This is what she had to say. And you're actually going to hear the wheels turning in Rubio's head at some point when he says, no. I have to address the premise of your question. Here's how that exchange went.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship
I have to disagree with
was
you.
specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Yeah, okay, that was a really polite way of saying this. But let me tell you a couple.
That was stupid, Margaret.
Yeah, it was really stupid.
That was stupid, Margaret.
and right now, and over the last day or so, Mark Maxwell, from he's what? Is he channel? Which one is he? Channel 4 or 5?
Mark Maxwell.
Mark Maxwell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at some of his, because he basically, I'm going to make sure I get the right one here, because there's
there are a few of them.
Yeah, and so he is. Yeah, KSDK. Yeah. So he was literally arguing with people over the last hour or so, or not hour, last day or so, trying to defend Margaret Brennan's position.
He's saying that was true.
Yeah,
that free speech was used.
Yes,
to conduct the genocide.
Yeah,
because let's be clear of what she said. By the way,
right?
She said free speech was used to conduct the genocide.
Yeah, she didn't say hate speech.
Right.
Was used. I mean, here, just real quick, here's the premise of the whole thing.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Talking about Germany.
Yes. So free speech was
weaponized.
weaponized to conduct a genocide.
Yeah. And so
That's the premise.
JD Vance tweets out, that was a crazy exchange. Does the media really think the Holocaust was caused by free speech? And then Mark Maxwell from KSDK says, does anybody really think the Holocaust wouldn't have happened without the vile hate speech that led up to it and the state-controlled propaganda machine that spread the hate speech far and wide? The answer is actually quite clear.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
State-controlled
propaganda
machine?
Yes.
Wait a minute. Okay. So what's funny is how the goalposts not just move. They're twisted into weird abstract art shapes in order to accommodate the crazy ideas that are being spread here. So is the premise then that unless there was an authoritarian government controlled speech to prevent that authoritarian government controlled speech, there would have been that would have stopped the Holocaust? Is that the premise?
Yeah.
That the only way to combat authoritarian controlled hate speech is with authoritarian controlled anti-hate speech, whatever that means.
Yeah, and of course now, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, there's a clip from CBS's 60 Minutes making the rounds. I don't know how recently it was. I don't think that was in the last week or two.
Yeah, I think maybe they might have brought it back up.
But the funny part is, who's the correspondent who's anchoring the whole thing?
Margaret
Brennan.
Yep. Talking to the German lawyers
about
their anti-free speech laws.
Right.
Basically.
And literally people being arrested for posting stuff on social media. So here's the deal. And there's more to Marco Rubio's exchange here, but a couple things I want to point out. Whenever you have somebody, and this is being the communications guy in me, one of the things that it pisses me off because it's so intellectually dishonest when somebody goes, and you know that.
Oh gosh,
is so arrogant. And
yeah.
Usually what that means is you're not allowed to disagree with me. I've said it. That's the end of it.
Right.
And so that is arrogance from a very stupid framing of a question that was made.
Yes.
But let me tell you what Marco Rubio did that we need to see more of. When he goes, no, I've got to disagree. Basically, I do not accept the foundation of your statement and or question.
Right.
I will not accept and try to talk about it from the framework that you have just established. I reject it. And then he goes into, freedom of speech is not what was, as a matter of fact, when the one party took control, in this case, the National Socialists, the Nazis, when they took control, they did the opposite of free speech.
Right.
And then you've got Mark Maxwell trying to conflate state propaganda
with free
speech.
Right.
Which is intellectually just beyond dishonest, but this is what you'd expect from Channel 5. And so what Rubio did was just point out that you're full of crap. Now, he did in a professional way.
Oh, very professional. Yes, very smooth.
But he went on to say, for instance, this.
I also think it's wrong. Again, I go back to the point of his speech. Okay, the point of his speech was basically that there is an erosion in free speech and intolerance for opposing points of view within Europe. And that's of concern because that is eroding. That's not an erosion of your military capabilities. That's not an erosion of your economic standing. That's an erosion of the actual values that bind us together in this transatlantic union that everybody talks about. And I think allies and friends and partners that have worked together now for 80 years should be able to speak frankly to one another in open forums. Without being offended, insulted, or upset. And I spoke to foreign ministers from multiple countries throughout Europe. Many of them probably didn't like the speech or didn't agree with it, but they were continuing to engage with us on all sorts of issues that unite us. So again, at the end of the day, I think that people give that is a forum in which you're supposed to be inviting people to give speeches, not basically a chorus where everyone is saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's basically it. And it's interesting because part of the thing was Margaret's question was about the tone essentially of Vance's speech, and now she used that premise about free speech having been used for the Holocaust, which was wild.
I mean, just bizarre.
Yeah, so the first thing Rubio had to do was dismantle the premise. Okay, you're standing on shaky ground, lady. So here's why what you just said was absolute bullcrap. And then he went on to address the question about his tone and discussing with our allies and criticizing our allies and things like that. It's like, well, it's kind of amazing when you really break down the intellectual dishonesty that necessarily went into her question. Yeah. Because let's say a Western ally nation in World War, just prior to World War II, was starting to do and say things about one of their own ethnic minorities and talking about a final solution publicly. Right. And we went over and said, hey, we don't like that. That sounds really, really, that doesn't sound like the Western values that we should all share. She would be on the other side saying, it's like, yeah, do you really want to strike that tone with our allies? Yeah.
Precisely.
Right. Like,
but the reality is nobody stood in the way, and look what happened.
Yeah,
nobody,
exactly.
Yeah.
So stupid.
But by the way, it doesn't start there, though. It doesn't start with the mainstream media. This is the framing that's worked its way into your K through 12 education.
Yes, absolutely.
This is what's made its way into higher education. Flat out dishonesty. When you have we're going to fight white supremacy in K through 12 education, reframing what actually happened in history is necessary to come to that conclusion. So don't think for a minute that the Margaret Brennans of the world are the only people spouting this. Now, I don't know how dumb Margaret Brennan actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she's dumber than she even sounds. Maybe she's not as dumb as she sounds. I don't know.
Well, she went to these K through 12 schools and these colleges, right? She went to one of them.
Don't think for a minute this isn't being taught in the public schools.
That's absolutely where this comes from.
Exactly. All right. Got some thoughts on that? Let me know. Let's go ahead and get you updated on what's coming weather-wise, because we got a storm on the way in less than 24 hours. We'll tell you about it just ahead.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
The outcome within, we call, we show, not too long. See no evil, hear no evil.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore to tell you about Michael's Flooring. Michael's is known for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. Installing new flooring should be exciting, not a hassle you dread. Michael's has solved that, and their long list of happy repeat customers is proof. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, ceramic tile, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring, with 3 locations, St. Peter's, Darting Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. This is 1019 and 94.1.
Millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
You know I'm a dreamer, but my heart's of gold. I had to run away high, so
All right, I'm going to put this in a really blunt way. This headline here, this tease here, but it's true. Death has returned to the Show Me State thanks to the voting of a very, very slight majority come November. Where do we go from here? We're going to talk about that in just a little bit here. Also, the Redbirds are back in Florida. I got a lot of baseball anxiety about this season still.
I can sense that.
I'm not looking forward to, I think, what's happening in the team right now. We'll get to that in just a little bit here. It is 6:50. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. Let's go and dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news stuff.
All right. At least one preborn child has been legally killed in Missouri again. It happened at the Planned Parenthood in Kansas City over the weekend after a judge struck down the state's licensing requirements for abortion clinics. That ruling follows the passage of Amendment 3 in November, which essentially legalized most abortions in the state. Abortion activists say killing will resume at the Planned Parenthood in St. Louis at any time, assuming it hasn't already by now.
Yeah.
But that's going to be my guess. So 7:05, Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life going to be with us. Let's talk about what that ruling actually means and where we go from here, because yes, there's policy to deal with. There's politics to deal with, but the reality is that we've got to mobilize and get people in front of the vulnerable young women and do that real face-to-face life-saving work while we work on the other solutions here. Excuse me, man. All right. I spent the entire weekend just finishing getting that stuff out of my lungs.
There's just a few little remnants, I imagine, and I imagine your throat's pretty irritated still.
Oh yeah. But I can tell you, ab workout.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm telling you,
that'll get your breath going.
I haven't been sick for like 5 days now, 4 days now, something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just clearing it all out.
Sounds good.
All right. A winter storm is moving into the area in about 24 hours. As of right now, the forecast is for the snow to hit the St. Louis metro around 6 a.m. on Tuesday. Heaviest snow expected Tuesday afternoon into Tuesday evening, maybe early Wednesday as well. As of right now, the models are predicting, well, originally when I got in, it said 4 to 9 inches. Stel, you're saying that the models are showing a little bit more than that for the St. Louis metro
I think,
area.
more like 6 to 9.
Okay.
In the metro area, 7 to 12 south of us.
Like in the Farmington area,
Yes.
like Festus and that area right there. So again, the farther south you go, the more snow is expected. A lot of snow. It doesn't look like there's going to be precipitation of ice and sleet and stuff like that.
Right. So this could be the big fluffy stuff that
Right.
pushes pretty well. You get one of those little pusher shovels, and you should be able to clear your driveway without the same sort of strain on your body that we saw the last event there, because that was the heavy wet snow.
Yeah.
Ice.
That was brutal. And but there's going to be a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be out ahead of it. You're going to see crews. I came in early this morning and saw, a crew salting the roads and the driveways or the parking lots here as well. So crews are out there trying to get a hold of it. If this is managed well, it really shouldn't be catastrophic, but expect some cancellations. Cancellations.
Now, there better not be the same sort of extended non-response from the various city and county governments that we saw last time, because it was a brutal storm. This time, I expect the roads to be dang clear real fast, so if something happens, something, we're going to say something about it.
Yes, we will. All right. The head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, Elon Musk, facing scrutiny for all of this sweeping reform across the federal government. By the way, they haven't even presented much to Congress to actually legally strike down.
Yeah.
They're just finding stuff, and the cockroaches are running in the daylight.
Really, this is a guy who's reviewing the security footage after the bank robbery, saying, "Oh yeah, I know who did it."
Yeah,
and everybody's mad at him. Yeah. It's like, wait, are you saying it was an inside job? How dare you? How dare you accuse bank tellers of stealing money?
You're going to end up getting people fired.
What's wrong with you? People have to feed their families.
Oh, geez. All right. Now, of course, less scrutiny between over Elon Musk and President Trump's bromance that's going on there. Democratic Senator Tim Kaine was on Fox News Sunday over the weekend, critical of that Trump-Musk partnership.
I think you're going to see these so-called accounting errors throughout government because there has been no oversight whatsoever.
That was Tim Burchett actually saying, no, they should keep looking into stuff. He was also on Fox News. Here's what Senator Tim Kaine had to say, the other side.
The message out of the gate is this is a group of people that want to pad their own pocket. They're going to cut things to try to amass a lot of dollars that they're then going to use to do tax cuts for the wealthiest. And that's the playbook we saw in the first Trump term, and I think we're seeing it again.
That's the boogeyman we've been getting since the 80s. Tax cuts for the wealthy.
Tax cuts for the wealthy. The rest of us got, pretty sizable tax cuts.
Yeah.
We saw it immediately.
And I don't know about you guys, but I'm not particularly wealthy, but I felt it.
Oh, yeah.
Tax cuts for the wealthy. All right. But we're going to need them because prices could go up and other stuff. President Trump putting the world on notice, basically, that he plans to impose reciprocal tariffs.
The president has directed his administration's top trade officials to outline a new series of tariffs, calling it a matter of fairness.
We're just going to do it the easy way, and we're just going to say whatever you charge, we charge. And I think that's fair for the people of the United States.
He predicted the tariffs would lead to more U.S. jobs, but acknowledged prices could go higher in the short term. The reciprocal tariffs aren't scheduled to take effect until at least April. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And if they go into effect, yes, understand, you can say that it was for a good reason or not, but it is going to increase prices.
Mm-hmm.
So as Congress is looking to pass a federal spending bill, Congressman Byron Donalds out of Florida explains why he says America needs to keep cutting spending. And he says he actually has a specific suggestion to do that. This was on Fox News Live.
We need to go back to pre-COVID era size and spending levels in Washington, D.C. So that's what needs to happen. And for everybody who's thinking about this service or that service, I want to be perfectly clear. Interest on the debt is now the second largest item that we spend money on.
So we're about $36 trillion in debt as a nation. To me personally, there is zero excuse for adding another penny of debt at this point, period.
Mm-hmm.
No increase of debt ceiling, nothing. If we're going to be serious about fiscal responsibility and respond to what voters said in November, then actual cuts have to happen.
Like serious, deep, machete-style cuts.
That's right. If you're celebrating what Doge is doing, great.
Mm-hmm. Doge has been relatively surgical, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, Cardinals full squad reporting to Jupiter today. That includes Nolan Arenado, which is going to be a little bit awkward because the front office spent the entire offseason trying to get rid of him.
Yeah.
But we'll see whether he's on the roster by opening day.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
I've been a registered Democrat for 28 years. I'm really glad you're talking about this. You gotta love these idiots out here. They think we're all stupid, I guess.
news, analysis, opinion.
Totally agree on that. I disagree with you.
It's over.
Very upset.
Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Wanted to ask you really quick. Is there room on the bandwagon for me?
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
News Talk STL. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Art Del Cueto, Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council. They say that it will cost us $3 billion to deport every single illegal immigrant.
How much money have we already given other countries to defend their own borders? Is our country not worth defending? Are our borders not worth defending? Is the future of our country not worth defending?
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Wicked weather across parts of the South over the weekend. At least 10 fatalities, including 9 in flood-stricken Kentucky.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says many of the deaths in his state from the storms, including a mother and her 7-year-old child swept away in their car by floodwater, were caused by vehicles getting stuck in high water.
Avoid driving through covered roadways. That's where we're losing the most people. Stay off the roads. If you hit water, turn around. It's not worth dying.
Much of the U.S. is facing another round of biting weather, says National Weather Service meteorologist Bob Onder.
There's still some big winter weather impact.
The northern plains facing life-threatening cold, tornado watches issued for parts of Georgia and Florida, while snow and sleet remain in the forecast for the Northeast. I'm Julie Walker.
The Kremlin says high-ranking U.S. and Russian officials will meet tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. They'll talk about ways to end the war in Ukraine. Europe feels left out of the process. European leaders holding an emergency summit today in Paris. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says with President Trump in office, Israel and the U.S. are on the same page. She tells Secretary of State Rubio there's no doubt about where the U.S. administration stands.
President Trump is the greatest friend that Israel has ever had in the White House. And the visit in Washington reflected that in every way. And your visit here reflects it in every way.
Rubio met with the Israeli leader yesterday at the start of a regional tour that will include a stop in Saudi Arabia for that meeting tomorrow with Russian diplomats, including the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov. It is President's Day. That means no mail delivery today. Also, no trading today on Wall Street. The stock market resumes business as usual tomorrow. Townhall.com.
The words you are about to hear are taken from letters sent in by members of the Trinity Debt Management Program.
Dear Trinity, today I'm making my final credit card payment.
Before I came to you, I was in a constant state of anxiety and panic, but now there is hope for my family's financial future.
Working with Trinity made me understand that I'm not alone.
You really do help people.
Your kindness will never be forgotten.
Without Trinity's support, I would not have achieved my lifelong goal of becoming debt-free.
We saved a lot on interest and penalties, of course, but the reward was the gift of human kindness.
Trinity has carried me through a very difficult time in my life. You're amazing.
I used to feel so anxious and hopeless. Now I feel grace and peace.
God bless Trinity as you continue to help others become debt-free.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976. 5.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first low forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Paid for by Estella's Pharma.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Bob.
All right, I'm going to start off understanding the in-your-face nature of the words that I've chosen. Killing is resumed in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. Child sacrifice is back.
Yeah. That is not hyperbole.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's the reality settling in because of the passage of Amendment 3 in November. Now, the question then comes, where do we go from here? Because there's a lot of people say, people smoke, respect the will of the voters, move on. Don't worry about it. Doesn't affect you. As humans, we cannot do that. It is 7:06 right now. Don't forget our live streaming, especially with this weather that's moving in. There's a chance that your stuff's going to get canceled tomorrow and or Wednesday. So we'll be your morning show this week. Put Rumble on your smart TV or find us on YouTube, but you're going to have to look for Mike Ferguson in the Morning on YouTube because I think News Talk STL got thrown off again. So,
oh, did it?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, I don't think we're back on.
I don't think so.
But we did set up a Mike Ferguson in the Morning account, and they haven't gotten us yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Or just put Rumble on your smart TV. It's free. Or on X, on Twitter, Facebook as well. Joined now by Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life. So Steve, this is one of those conversations where, we just got to get real here. Okay. We knew that at some point abortions were going to resume. And of course it happened after a court ruling in Jackson County on Friday, and literally within hours, media and Planned Parenthood are celebrating the return of elective abortion in Missouri. So let's talk about this ruling real quick. This basically struck down the licensing requirements for abortion facilities, but this was part of the reason that they wrote Amendment 3 the way they wrote the Amendment 3, to make sure that nothing was in the way, regardless of how common sense or standard it would be medically. So what did that ruling actually do on Friday?
Yeah, that's a great point. Anything right now in our Constitution in the state of Missouri, anything that impedes abortion is unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
Here are some of the things that the judge struck down the other day. A requirement that only doctors perform abortions. Is that good for women's health?
Yeah. And the thing was, is that you were on this station, and I'm sure many, many others, warning that that's exactly what the amendment said. Yeah. And people are like, that's not. Well, no, that's exactly what
exactly true. Here's another requirement. A requirement to follow all acceptable sterilization standards for surgery instruments and equipment was struck down by this judge. A requirement for the abortion provider to perform a sufficient examination of the patient to determine the unborn child's gestational age, identify pre-existing medical or other complications, and detect any factors which could influence the choice of the procedure, anesthesia, or preoperative or postoperative management. That is gone. That's
insane.
Taking women's care and saying we don't really care about women. A requirement that ultrasounds only be performed by doctors or licensed medical technicians. A requirement to have emergency trays equipped to treat seizures, bleedings, anaphylactic shock, respiratory arrest, and cardiac arrest, struck down. A requirement to have emergency drugs, oxygen, and intravenous fluid in a surgical procedure room, along with a manual breathing bag and suction machine. That's not important. Requirements that facilities for surgical abortion have adequate scrub-up facilities, that the sterilizing room be equipped with a steam sterilizer, and that there are sufficient surgical instruments sterilized and available for each patient who presents herself for an abortion. And state inspections of abortion clinics are gone.
So basically everything that sent Gosnell to prison is legal in the state of Missouri, basically.
Yeah. It's incredible that a judge could say those things aren't important.
Right. Call them discriminatory.
Prohibitive.
Yeah. And so this is what we warned, because we looked at the plain language of Amendment 3. So, we've got, a lot of lawmakers saying, all right, we're going to either put something else on the ballot, or we're going to clarify the language with legislation. Okay. That's all well and good. I'm sure there's some good efforts.
We're working on it
that we're going to do. We'll get into that here in just a minute. But in the meantime, between now and then, women are at risk. Children are dying. It feels like we've lost in the past tense, Steve.
Yes.
So between now and whatever can be done, either at the ballot or at the legislature, we've got to be engaging people on that person to person level. And we've got to find ways to get those resources directly to women who are in that vulnerable spot. I mean, the policy, and I want to get to that in a minute, that's crucial too. But we've also got to have a heart and a mind that steps outside of just politics.
Yes. We've got to win people's hearts, Mike. You're absolutely right. This is, we're going to fight the battles on the political front. We have to fight those battles, but we really have to fight the battle for the heart. You said in the opening, Mike, that it's not hyperbole to say this is killing. So what does that mean? In a chemical abortion, the abortion pill is actually a 2-pill regimen. The first pill is designed to do one thing and one thing only: starve that child to death. That's what that first pill, it starves the child to death. It robs them of the nutrients to continue to grow. They're already growing, and you have to stop that growth. That abortion pill will stop that growth. And the second pill, 2 days later, the woman will go into a labor, forced labor, and deliver a dead child. She is told by Planned Parenthood, who prescribed that medication, to go over to her toilet and give birth to her dead child in a toilet. That is in our state constitution.
So what about those who are saying the will of the people spoke, Steve, just get over it, move on. The people spoke, democracy. Why is it so important to say, yeah, we see that narrow loss that we took?
1.6%.
Yeah. Tiny narrow loss. Why is this something that we just don't give up on? Why do we keep going back?
Because we're human beings, and human beings protect each other. And we know that there is a vulnerable population out there that is not only not being protected, they are being killed by violent, barbaric means. As human beings, aren't we called to do something about that? If we sit on the sidelines and do nothing, this will proliferate, and children will die, and they're already dying literally by the millions.
Yeah.
We have to do something. We're human beings.
What can be done policy-wise? I mean, the reason that the extreme left went for the constitutional amendment was to present a generally pro-life legislature from getting in and tweaking and rewriting stuff if it were, for instance, just a referendum, if it were just a law. So what is realistic that we can get done in this legislative session, if anything, given the fact that this is in the state constitution? And then the question after that, I'll just tell you, is what's next when it comes to trying to correct this horror that we brought upon ourselves?
It's pretty common knowledge that to change a constitutional amendment is extremely difficult. It almost never happens.
Right.
This constitutional amendment, Amendment 3, won by 1.5 or 1.6%. That's not a referendum. They spent $30 million to pass that referendum by 1.6%. We spent only about $3 million. So we were outspent 10-1, yet we darn near beat them. So that's not a referendum. Plus, the language that when you went into that voting booth, the language said reproductive freedom, woman's choice, all these terms that our country was built on choice. Our country was built on freedom. And people thought, well, we should have our freedoms. Not once in that amendment did it say anything about the child.
Right. Not
once did it say baby. Yet the whole amendment was designed to kill a child.
Right.
But you didn't see that when you went in. If you walked in that booth and you saw in that language that this will kill an innocent child by starving them to death or letting them bleed to death after they've been dismembered. Because when you dismember a child, they die by bleeding to death. If that would have been in that language, this thing wouldn't have passed.
Not at all.
Not at all. Nobody would vote for that.
Well, the closest language that was accurate is the one that the Secretary of State's office wrote, and that was thrown out.
And that was thrown out
by a judge. Was it biased? Yes, but it was honest.
Yes.
And that was a very clear. So when you're working with the legislature this year, are there things that can be done policy wise. Like, for instance, we just had a question. Matter of fact, it was producer Jerome here at News Talk. He said, do people seeking abortion have to talk to somebody about alternatives first now? The answer, I think, is no.
No,
they don't.
that would be an impediment.
Right. Right. Exactly. So is there anything that can be done to at least put any guardrails in on unfettered abortion in Missouri? Or is this a matter of it's now at the state constitutional level and we're going to have to go through this fight again?
We've passed 52 laws in the state of Missouri in the last 50 years to regulate abortion. Every one of those laws are on the chopping block right now. Planned Parenthood has gone after immediately parental notification. Parents shouldn't have the right to what happens to their minor daughter. Down syndrome. That anyone diagnosed with Down syndrome, it's a virtual death sentence now, just because they have Down syndrome. Late-term abortions will be legal right up to the moment of birth. Those are things that they've already filed lawsuits against those things, saying those are impediments to abortion. They should be gone. And they're going to continue to whittle away at all the 52 laws until it's unfettered abortion in any case, right up to the moment of birth. What we can do is we can try to slow that process down and maybe save some babies by continuing to have some of the laws that are on the books continue until they challenge them legally.
Right.
In the meantime, we're working with the legislature to be able to modify Amendment 3 and put our own ballot together in next year, maybe in August of next year, to modify Amendment 3, not necessarily repeal it, but to be able to modify it to be something that people can live with.
So this modify and clarify effort, I've got this sheet in front of me from the Missouri Pro-Life Action Day, which is going to be on March 26th of this year. Modify and clarify Amendment 3. Now that means presenting a new amendment or a new ballot initiative, essentially, to make the changes directly to Amendment 3, right?
Yep, exactly, to the Constitution, to change our Constitution. And we pray that the language will be language that people can understand, because the language that before was intentionally, we call it the language of illusion.
Right.
And we're going to have language that is true and talks about what's really going to happen.
Yeah. And I mean, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, oh, okay, but then you're just meeting him in the middle somewhere. But given that this is a state constitutional amendment, that may be all that's possible right now.
Yeah, and we're not going to give up much. Believe me, we're not going to give up the farm. Missouri Right to Life has spent 50 years working on those 52 laws to get us to the point where abortion was illegal in the state of Missouri. We would have loved at 50 years ago to have passed something that would ban abortions 50 years ago, but we knew that unfortunately wasn't realistic. So we chipped away and we chipped away and we chipped away, and abortions went down from 21,000 in a year down to 167 before Roe versus Wade was overturned. So we whittled it down to almost no abortions. And then, of course, we did have no abortions.
And it took some time to get there, though.
And it took us time to get there.
Okay, so Missouri Pro-Life Action Day, as Gabe just referenced, coming up next month. Tell me about that, Rupp.
Okay, we're asking all of our pro-life Missourians to come to Jefferson City on March 26th from the St. Louis area. We've got buses coming from 4 different locations going to Jefferson City to lobby our legislators to say, pass this legislation that will amend our Constitution. And we're going to give them packets of information so that they know exactly what to say, what the bill numbers are, et cetera, et cetera. But when you show up in Jefferson City, that wakes up the electorate. That wakes up the legislators, and it wakes up the press that, boy, these people are serious. They had thousands of people in Jefferson City.
Yeah.
So we need people to go.
All right. And people can find out more about this and about because if there's a time to tune in and be involved and connect, it's right now. How do they do that?
Yeah. They can go to MissouriLife.org. That's our website, MissouriLife.org.
All right. Gabe, let's put that up on our social media post here as well. All right. Oh, excuse me. Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life. Thank you for the update. I mean, I wish that one of these days we could just come in and just celebrate all the lives that are being saved, which we've had for a while, but it's going to be a while.
We will. We'll do it.
All right.
All right. It's an appointment.
It is. Yes, we're going to do that. Got any questions, get thoughts? Let me know. 314-912-1019. By the way, just as speaking of babies, Gabe, did you see this social media like baby mama drama from the MAGA world?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Elon's got more babies.
Yes. He's done that.
This dude.
But I don't even want to talk about that.
Okay.
I want to talk about the reaction to it because there's a lot of people like, yay, this is wonderful. Instead of, didn't conservatism used to actually mean something beyond just politics too? All right. Can I say that and not get in trouble?
Well, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah,
but
probably not.
But you should say it
let's
anyway.
do it anyway.
Yes.
Just ahead here. 1019 941 News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up, get up.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 425. At 525, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of De Pere. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that, but you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Not in the way that you hold me.
Today's show is brought to you by President's Day, a day to honor our greatest presidents and the terrible ones.
I guess that's fair.
It does cover all of them, doesn't it?
Yeah, just President's Day.
All presidents.
I think it kind of dawned on me about 20 minutes ago. I'm like, oh, today's technically a holiday.
Yeah, that's right. No mail, no
banks
bank,
open.
no banking. Is no
stock market.
Is it garbage service? Is garbage service suspended too?
I don't think so.
Sometimes my trash service just decides is like, you know what, today's a holiday. that's kind of how it feels sometimes. I'm like, what the heck?
All right. Take this incoming storm seriously, but don't freak out. At least don't freak out again.
Please. Yes.
Okay. By the way, still ahead here, we are actually going to chat with our friend and Congressman Bob Onder. Going to be with us right around 7:35 or so, and then after that, of course, we're bringing back Tell Me Something Good a little bit later on today.
Yes,
maybe 20 or so. Given some MAGA baby mama drama. It's MAGA baby mama drama.
MAGA baby
over the
mama
weekend on social media. Should we reflect a little and ask if it's time the conservatism make a comeback?
Like the moral stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
basically.
not just the political side. The part that said this worldview means something. encouraging conservatives to be conservative?
It'd be nice. I
In
think
life.
so.
I mean, like in life.
Yeah.
Or is just owning the libs and winning politically all that matters?
We have to answer this question.
Yeah, well, we at least have to talk about it
Mhm.
because you saw that divide with this Ashley St. Clair and Elon Musk MAGA baby mama drama thing.
Mhm.
And I don't even, Ashley St. Clair keeps coming up on my feeds and I don't follow her. So she's clearly in the algorithm. She's got a big follow. I don't know why she's famous.
Mhm.
I don't know why she's a so-called influencer. But she's the latest Elon Musk baby mama, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's got a few of them.
Oh, yeah. He's got a lot of them. And at one point, it was acceptable to go, maybe you should just have babies with the woman to whom you're married.
Right. And
maybe that's what's best for the children.
Pick one.
Right.
And keep that one for your life.
Right. And then there's a lot of the influencer world. It's like, no, we need to celebrate this because they're on our side. And besides, it doesn't really matter because look at what Doge is doing. Just basically let him plant the seeds of
F around.
Completely.
Well, we're finding out, how that works now.
Yeah, it was just
in the conservative circles.
Just a really weird dynamic. And I think it's what happens when we decide that principles don't matter. That winning is the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to say, let's win with principles.
Right.
And not just political. I'm not asking for government to pass laws, I'm asking for us to have that social restraint on things. But let's do that. Let's do that around right around 8:20 or so. Okay, so we've got this weather forecast coming up. I do want to just kind of hit that for a second before we talk to Congressman Bob Onder here in a few minutes. And that is about by this time tomorrow, we're going to have the first round of some snow moving through the metro area.
Right.
Actually, it may even show up a little earlier.
Oh,
than
are
we
they
thought.
changing it?
It's moving.
What are they showing now?
Yeah, Kathy texted me a few minutes ago, and she said that some of the weather folks are saying that it may start late tonight, as in 11 p.m., midnight,
okay.
1 a.m., as opposed to 5 or 6 a.m.
Yeah, because that was originally they were saying about 6 o'clock. So we might see a little bit of snowflakes today throughout the day, but nothing that's going to accumulate. So here's the reality is that there's probably going to be some things that are canceled just because of the amount of snow that's in the forecast.
Right.
Plus the cold temperatures.
And the ridiculously cold temperatures. I'm dreading that more than I am the snow.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, come maybe apparently now Tuesday morning, because I was thinking at least Tuesday I'd be able to get out and head out without having to scrape the whole car, but apparently I'm going to have to do that. But Wednesday, your car is going to be covered if you don't have a garage. You're going to have some snow to shovel.
Yeah.
It's just the way that it is.
And below zero temperatures in the morning.
Might not hurt to query to City Hall and
Yeah.
say, hey, what's the plan?
Yeah.
It also might not be a bad idea in some parts of the area to get your car off the street tonight.
Right. If you can park off street, definitely do so.
Yeah. And some cities are already putting notices out saying, please get your cars off the street if you can.
Now, back in New York, at least in my hometown, they would post notices about parking on a specific side of the street.
Yeah.
They would say, "Oh, okay, so that we got snow coming. Everybody park on this side of the street."
Yeah.
And so that way they could get like a really good plow. And then once you dug your car out, you could park on the other side of the street, kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, like, for instance, the city is looking at, because they don't have an ordinance that says during snow emergencies, only park on this side of the street. Just because they happen so rarely, and street parking is even at a premium in a lot of parts of the city.
Right.
So they're probably gonna have those discussions, once the older critters go back to work, here in a few weeks after the municipal elections. But do take the incoming storm seriously.
Yes.
Especially, if you got outdoor animals or things like that.
But the frigid temperatures are a whole other aspect to this.
Like, make you angry.
Yes.
Kind of forecast.
Yes. You breathe in and you feel the crystals forming on your nose hairs, sort of cold.
It's like that meme that goes around. I live in a place where the air hurts my face. Why am I living where the air hurts my face?
Yes. It's that meme. Yes.
So I
Been
mean,
there.
it is, but this is not going to be a catastrophic. This isn't going to be like the one a month or a month and a half ago. Nothing.
Right.
It's not going to be anything like that.
Right.
Just use common sense and you should be fine.
Yeah. I mean, at worst, this should be annoying.
Mhm.
It should be an annoying, temporary inconvenience to you, as opposed to a life-stopping emergency like the last one.
As lunch lady like to point out, there is light at the end of the tunnel because temperatures will be into the 30s and 40s by Friday and Saturday.
All right.
That's
Maybe
good,
even
yep.
low 50s by Sunday.
Now, will that signal the final end of winter? Will we
Not
have-
necessarily, no.
We're not going to be beyond the groundhog point yet.
No.
Dang it.
Nice and slushy and muddy.
Stupid ground.
Because we're still in February. That's the thing.
Oh,
that
yeah.
we forget.
Yeah.
You still got another month or so.
Spring ain't sprung yet.
Hey, my old man baseball opening day is like 2 months away.
Yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
that's when spring actually starts.
Yes.
Old man baseball starts up.
Let's catch up with Congressman Bob Onder here in about 4 minutes right here on 1019 941 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Not in the way that you hold me. It's not in the way you say you care. It's not in the way you've been treating my friends. It's not in the way that you stare to him. It's not in the way you look or the things that you say that you do. Or the lie. Love isn't always on time.
And by the way, Larry Connors is coming up with a commentary on Mickey Mouse and DEI. Ooh, baby.
Love isn't always on time.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
At Elite Comfort Experts, they don't believe in gimmicks, just guarantees. And now they're teaming up with Amana Heating and Air Conditioning to bring you a 99-year compressor and heat exchange warranty and a 10-year parts and labor warranty on a high new efficiency HVAC system. This exclusive offer is available on qualifying systems installed before April 15th. Choose integrity and quality. Choose Elite Comfort Experts. Call Elite at 636-887-0971 or visit EliteComfortExperts.com. Mention the promo code NewsTalkSTL.
Larry Connors commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors commentary on News Talk STL.
MICKEY. Mickey Mouse and the House of Disney, suffering. Latest films, even Captain America, Brave New World, getting little attention, which means little money. CEO Bob Iger has his hands full of disgruntled employees. He's been cutting DEI personnel and projects. They're screaming at him. Are we supposed to serve Donald Trump? Iger knows the issue is not just Trump, but the leftists pushing woke agendas, which have turned the majority of Americans away from the Mouse Club. One staffer is quoted as saying, "I thought Bob had our back." Hey, like any good CEO, he has his back. Last week, when Disney held a big premiere for Captain America, protesters showed up shouting, "Free Palestine, boycott Disney." In the Iger past, he was leading the woke movement in the entertainment world. DEI employees at Disney and everywhere shouted his name in glee. Now they shout things Mickey Mouse would never say. Mickey, MICKEY, the house Mickey built, now a junkyard full of DEI zombies.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
My sponsor, Wellington Environmental, has helped thousands deal with hazardous materials. Hospitals, offices, schools, even homes. Here's something new. Wellington now offers dustless blasting. This is just like sandblasting, but without all the dust and emissions. Wellington uses everything from ground glass, walnuts, corn, even dry ice pellets. One university had Wellington remove their parking lot striping because dustless blasting is fast and it does not damage the concrete. So as a business or homeowner, I'm sure you could use this process. Industrial tanks, swimming pools, graffiti on buildings. And in fact, Wellington is blasting a Texaco station that will be revised as an historic building. Check the website for details and photos. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio 3 times every week yet on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Join the conversation. All you have to do is say,
Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Hey, it's Vic and Ken. We're on 9 to 11 every Monday through Friday on News Talk STL. Kenny, how are you?
I'm good.
You know, you got to be some kind of weirdo to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and
You
do radio.
do, believe me.
And that weirdo is Mike Ferguson in the morning show on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh.
Why try? No why.
I think when you check in with whether it's the Sunday morning talking head shows or, God forbid, just social media, thinking that you're getting a sample of real life in America, one of the fascinating things that we're seeing is basically the equivalent of this is what's actually happening. Nuh-uh. I mean, for instance, there was a time, because we've heard for decades and decades about wasteful spending in government, and Citizens Against Government Waste would put out the pork book or pig book every single year. And then, we have a big laugh at the dumbest expenditures of, shrimp on treadmills or something like that.
Not kidding.
No, yeah. And
that was a real thing.
At one point, everybody, even those on the left, were like, well, yeah, that's bad, but we can't, throw the baby out with the bathwater. We just got to be reformed, and, we got to be reform minded in how we do things. Well, now basically the left is trying to get back off its backside. They were knocked on their heels. They were knocked on their butt.
Oh yeah.
With everything that's being exposed, and trying to salvage big government from all of this.
They're trying to save it.
Yeah. 7:38 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Fiver here. Got Stel Ponticus here, joined by Congressman Bob Onder as well. And so I want to get to the kind of the updates on the Doge aspect of this, Congressman. But now my understanding is that we're back to the government could shut down again because the clock is ticking on the spending plan that's in place. And with all of the waste and all of the fraud and all the duplications and everything that we're now, not even what's already been found, because I think we know this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's just no reason, I would think, that anybody, as Byron Donalds was arguing on Fox News over the weekend, for any more debt to be added. We can cut out plenty of spending, but the Democrats are now apparently saying, you know what, maybe we should allow a government shutdown, and then we'll point at the Republicans and go, aha, look at what you have done. Now, people have been promising me a government shutdown for a long time, and nobody's delivered it yet, Bob. But I'm just saying is because I think what would happen is this would go along with the mission of Doge, I think. And if there were to be some sort of shutdown, people would look around and go, my life didn't change. Maybe we don't need all of this. But what's the status right now on that spending plan versus government shutdown and the timetable on all this?
Well, good morning, guys. It's great to be back. You hit the nail on the head. For generations, Republicans have been offering spending cuts, and even a lot of Democrats would occasionally point out some wasteful spending and say, "Isn't this terrible?" But now the Democrats are freaking out because Elon Musk and his people are over the target, identifying all these left-wing slush funds that are wasting our money. Now, with regard to there are two things going on right now on the fiscal front in Washington. One is the reconciliation bill that we have been working on, and the House and the Senate is working on, what Donald Trump calls the big beautiful bill that will fund border security, change energy policy so that we can become energy dominant again, and at the same time renew the Trump tax cuts and cut spending from mandatory spending programs at the same time to pay for all of that. Then you have separately the issue of the budget for the so-called discretionary spending, and that deadline is March 14th. The last continuing resolution passed in December expires on March 14th. So ordinarily what happens is at the 11th hour, often a couple of days before Christmas, establishment Republicans and the Democrats get together and pass a continuing resolution or omnibus that doesn't cut spending, that has all of everyone's favorite programs in it. And I think you're right. In the era of Elon Musk and Doge, I mean, for heaven's sakes, Elon thinks that when all is said and done, he can save $1 trillion a year from our budget. Now, I don't know that. I mean, that's a big number, but he's on the right track. So why would we do a continuing resolution that just continues, as the name implies, continues wasteful spending at current levels? We really ought to be passing a conservative budget for these so-called discretionary items.
Yeah. Good morning, Bob. Gabe here. So yeah, my question about the potential spending cuts. Right now, we've been focusing so much on the craziness coming out of things like USAID and things like that. And one of the new lines I think the left is trying out, because they're trying out so many various lines of attack, is that, well, it's only $38 billion. It's a drop in the bucket. USAID's total expenditure is only $38 billion. No big deal. But on some level, they're right in that the cuts that need to happen in the government are much larger than the things that we've been looking at lately. Are some of our big pet programs, even including the military, kind of on the chopping block now, even among Republicans,
or at least available for scrutiny?
Right.
Yeah, I think everything needs to be available for scrutiny. I think what's so dramatic about USAID and to some extent FEMA and others is the extent to which these programs not only waste money, but they have been slush funds for left-wing programs, slush funds to, for instance, launder money to Politico and the New York Times and the BBC. Slush funds for various gender and diversity programs all over the world. Now, regarding the reconciliation bill, yes, we need to look at everything very carefully, including, I won't say it's one of my pet programs, Medicaid. I'm a medical doctor. I know how much waste and abuse is in that program. And what's made things even worse with Medicaid is not only Obamacare Medicaid expansion and then Biden care Medicaid expansion, but also the fact that during COVID, the states could not check for eligibility. And then, of course, blue states are very lax about checking eligibility in normal times. So Medicaid is an enormous entitlement program that badly needs reform. It badly needs work requirements, and that is where we're going to be able to find a lot of money. And I think when Elon digs in there, I think you'll be astounded at how much fraud there is in that program.
Yeah, the bad part is that I don't know that we're going to be that shocked. I mean, we just kind of assume that there's so much there, and we've just turned a blind eye to it for years.
I think that's right. That's right. I mean, look, I remember, this is going way back. The Democrats always played this game of, oh my gosh, you're cutting people off their health care. In 2005, when Matt Blunt was faced with a big budget deficit and, saved money in Medicaid, Governor Matt Blunt of Missouri, and he saved money on Medicaid, he did it. 90% of what he did, the money he saved, was from checking eligibility and throwing off people who weren't even eligible for the program. That's how bad things were under the Democrats, Carnahan and Bob Holden. We have the same thing going on right now, although we did it on purpose. It was all out in the open in the name of COVID for several years. And unfortunately, the Medicaid rolls have ballooned well beyond what's sustainable.
Yeah, just kind of a history lesson for those of us who've been involved in politics and policy in Missouri. Matt Blunt was very forward thinking and probably saved the state's program with his Mo Health Net initiative that he put in to get rid of a lot of that waste. It was very preemptive, and he took a political hit for a lot of that. Obviously didn't run for re-election, but he was really kind of ahead of his time by saying we're going to get out in front of fraud, waste, and abuse. We're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder, and Bob, I just got a minute or so left here. I don't think I could have an interview go by without asking about some of the immigration stuff that's happening right now. Now we have even some blue cities like New York City going, okay, yes, you're right. There's a big problem here. We're going to get involved. The Department of Justice with Attorney General Pam Bondi now putting the clarion call out. You want to be a sanctuary city or state? You want to get in the way of federal immigration policy and try to protect the illegal aliens in the state? We're going to come after you with some kind of legal action. What's your take on that relationship now between the federal government and the states and the cities over this federal policy issue? And what do you think should be next?
Well, that's right. I mean, look, another history lesson. Back in 2008, I passed the strongest state law in the country to fight illegal immigration. Among other things, we banned sanctuary cities. But if all these progressive blue cities and states across the country they want to flout, downright violate federal immigration law, they are not deserving of federal funds. I mean, for heaven's sakes, the federal government has flexed its muscle of federal funding in order to get states to pass the 55-mile-an-hour speed limits back in the day. No, there's no question that Pam Bondi's on the right track, but there will be lawfare on the part of these cities and states, because let's face it, a lot of them define themselves by their resistance to Donald Trump's Make America Great Again agenda.
All right, Congressman Bob Onder, really appreciate you checking in with us. Looking forward to chatting with you again next week. This week, what's the headline or headlines we should be looking for amid all of the noise that's happening right now?
Yeah, so right now is an in-district week for the U.S. House of Representatives. So, I'm going to be traveling around central Missouri this week and doing some things in St. Charles as well. I think the big thing to look for this week is further digging by Elon Musk into waste and fraud in the government. And again, I'm sure we'll hear some things from President Trump as well. Not tired of winning.
That's right. And he's the Doge folks are going to be visiting the FAA Command Center this week as well. So It's going to be very interesting to find out what they find there. All right.
Let's go.
Congressman Bob Onder, thoroughly appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Coming up on 7:50 here on a Monday. Man, there's been a lot of bad news.
There's been a ton of bad news.
Let's have something good.
Yes, please.
Just ahead, right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Why try? No why. This feeling inside me says it's time I was gone. Clear head, life ahead.
Is your biggest life decision just around the corner? For over 30 years, Jim Mull of Caldwell Banker Gundaker has turned real estate dreams into reality. More than just a realtor, Jim is your personal advocate, armed with unmatched market expertise and negotiating prowess. Whether you're searching for the perfect home or selling your property for top dollar, Jim and his dedicated team deliver results you can trust. Call 314-280-7878 or visit jimmole.com today.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Open the door, baby, turn on the light. We're gonna have a party tonight for a rocker.
I completely forgot that there was a big Saturday Night Live show over the weekend.
It's like a really big deal.
It's like their 50th anniversary.
I did see a couple clips of
I haven't even seen those.
Were ostensibly supposed to be funny things, but
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it was like a who's who thing. I am probably not going to go back and watch. I mean, it's like I loved watching Saturday Night Live when I was in college.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which was in the 90s.
Yeah, I think that was probably the last time it was funny.
Yeah, I haven't seen much of it since then at all.
Yeah, there were.
They do have some funny skits that you can get on social media.
There were a couple that kind of really, hit a social media thing, like their Taco Town commercial. You remember the Taco Town commercial?
Sort of.
So basically, it was making fun of this thing wrapped in this thing, but including this thing, and it just kept escalating. So it's like, no, that's not all. We wrapped your burrito in a chorizo sausage and a pizza, and we put it in a bag full of guacamole. It's an amazing skit. You got to go find it. Taco Town. Taco Town is a funny.
Yeah, apparently Steve Martin and Martin Short did a thing.
Okay,
which is great.
All right,
and Martin
again,
Short
back from when they were funny.
Yeah, of course, Martin Short being from Canada. Apparently, right in the middle of the skit, some ICE agents came and mass deported him out right during the middle of the skit.
Okay, that's
kind of funny.
That's funny.
That's right.
I'll take that.
7:52 on a Monday. You know what that means?
Tell me something good.
Tell me something good.
Scientists just figured out how polar bear fur repels ice no matter how cold it is. Now, it turns out it's because of their specialized hair grease called sebum. Now, here's why this is good news.
Hair grease?
Yeah, it's like a natural hair grease. It's kind of funny. It's like now it's not Aquanet or anything like that.
Yeah.
Here's why this is good news. The discovery could lead to more environmentally friendly anti-icing technology. So, current synthetic solutions often rely on problematic forever chemicals like PFAs, right, which have been connected to environmental and human health issues. The natural lipid coating produced by polar bears might offer a sustainable alternative for applications ranging from winter sports equipment to aircraft anti-icing chemicals.
Oh,
right. So that's really good news for our environment and for our human bodies.
So these aren't just like the hippie polar bears that don't take a bath. I mean, this is a real thing.
Well, now, to be fair,
because we've all been around that guy at the party.
To be fair, when they take a bath, it reduces the capabilities of their hair grease. So yeah, they might be the non-bathing greasy polar bears.
Bunch of hippies.
Tell me something good.
A baby is thriving months after he received an incredible spinal operation while still in the womb. Ooh, wow. This is a really cool story here. Especially need this on today. A 24-year-old woman, English woman, Serena Nye, was told during her 20-week pregnancy checkup last year that her unborn son had spina bifida. Now, because of the way his spine was growing and a cyst that was developing at the base of his spine, Serena and father Chris Brown were warned that it would likely cause the baby to be severely disabled with a high risk of paralysis. Abortion was on the table. But so was something called fetoscopic surgery. Okay, wow. Get this.
That's amazing.
6 weeks later, doctors took Serena's womb out of her body. performed a 3-hour operation on her unborn son's spine, stitched the baby and the womb back up inside her body, and the baby was born 31
That's
weeks later.
amazing.
Later.
That is amazing.
So at the 31-week mark, Tommy Brown was born and was able to feed normally and kick his little legs thanks to the surgery. Now, at 3 months old, Tommy is hitting all his milestones with crawling next on the list, and only the scar on his back as evidence that anything was ever wrong. That
is one of those. Tell me about that scar, because scars carry stories.
Yes.
That's going to be a powerful story that young man, it's a boy, right?
Yes.
That young man is going to have in his life. That's amazing.
It's really cool. Every time little Tommy runs around, his parents got to feel that.
Yep.
Tell me something good.
All right, so a Norwegian energy company has managed to turn big oil's unused data into fresh drinking water for millions of Africans. So this is a neat story here. The company, Ruden AS, realized that while extensive seismic surveys conducted by big oil companies may have come up dry when it comes to crude, they have in many cases pinpointed dozens of hidden aquifers full of desperately needed fresh water. One in particular, now known as the Kimbiji Aquifer, with a whopping 5,000 cubic kilometers of water and an annual recharge rate of 2,000 cubic kilometers per year, will provide 2 million Tanzanians with water for generations to come. Ruden AS is currently poring over more data to see if they can replicate their success in Somalia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And look, fresh water is one of those key ingredients to a thriving society. We want these third world countries to become first world countries so then they can stop sending.
That's Adam Wainwright's that part of the big mission thing that he supports is getting access to water in these third world countries.
Yeah, and that's going to be a huge deal for them.
Tell me something good.
Okay, so to help you plan to have a good week, Tuesday is National Drink Wine Day.
Oh, okay.
Now, for some of us, that's just a day that ends in Y.
That's right.
So what's your favorite? Are you a red or a white person? Do you have a sweet wine, dry wine?
Yeah, I'm more of a red than a white, but I'm not a huge wine drinker. But when I do have wine, I'll usually go for the red.
Yeah, I'm a kind of any wine, but I don't like the dry ones. I prefer the sweet ones. I'm a pansy that way. So
yeah, I go for the white, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah.
Riesling or one of those.
Now, you, of course, like to pair it with some properly, prepared Greek fish dishes,
yes, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Exactly. Or some salmon.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's fine.
Nice. Wednesday is National Chocolate Mint Day.
Oh, yeah.
Now, that's one of my top 5 ice cream flavors. I don't know about you guys. Thursday is National Love Your Pet Day. So little hugs and kisses for the kitties and puppies and bunnies and whatever. Friday is National Sticky Bun Day.
Oh,
I love me a good sticky bun. Now, for today, in addition to today being President's Day, it's also National Random Acts of Kindness Day. So do something nice, particularly for a stranger. It's good for your soul.
Tell me something good.
And that is Tell Me Something Good on Monday. Nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, sticky bun. They still have the Cinnabon things at like the malls and whatnot.
Oh God, Cinnabons, yeah, with the gigantic,
yeah,
as
in like that's the meal.
Knife and fork, baby.
That's right.
Agree.
I think conservatives have it wrong.
Or disagree.
I couldn't agree with you more.
The conversation happens here.
I agree with you on Trump. I'm shaking my head. I'm one of your liberal Democratic listeners, and I don't get why any of this even matters.
Because your voice matters.
Everybody told him he couldn't do it, and then he did do it. That's what you got to do. You got to play hardball.
I want to hear what people think and be able to talk about it.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Congratulations to the awesome team at Connor Roofing for earning the 2024 National Best of the Best Award for Customer Satisfaction. Connor Roofing has now won back-to-back honors because they do outstanding work in all types of roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. We chose Connor Roofing without telling the owners, Rob and Kathy Connor. Their customer reviews are some of the best in the country. Please read them. Visit ConnorRoofing.com and request an estimate. Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor.
When you've been hurt in an accident, you need a law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, Onder Law has been winning for St. Louis. With over $5 billion in negotiated settlements and over $300 million in verdicts, Onder wins. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row, Onder wins. Whether it's settlements, verdicts, or awards, Onder wins. If you've been hurt in a car accident, trucking accident, or hurt on the job, Onder Law will get you the money you deserve. At Onder Law, winning is what we do. So when the stakes are high, Onder wins. Call us today for a free consultation. We don't get paid unless we win for you. Dial 314 or 6189-million. That's 314 or 6189, then all zeros. Or visit us online at onderwins.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A defiant Ukrainian President Zelensky says his country will not accept the outcome of U.S.-Russia talks on ending the war without participating in the negotiations. And at this point, Zelensky says Ukraine will not be at the table. President Trump says he's certain that Russia's Vladimir Putin is anxious to wrap things up in Ukraine.
I think he wants to stop fighting. I see that. We spoke long and hard. Steve Witkoff was with him for a very extended period, like about 3 hours. I think he wants to stop fighting. They have a big, powerful machine. You understand that.
High-level U.S. and Russian diplomats, including Secretary of State Rubio and Russia's Foreign Minister Lavrov, due to meet tomorrow in Saudi Arabia. 9 of the 10 storm-related deaths over the weekend were in Kentucky. The state's been swept by destructive flash flooding. The bad weather not over yet. There's a new storm brewing in the country's midsection.
That system's going to be pressing eastward through the Ohio Valley late Tuesday, early Wednesday, and then it starts to affect the East Coast on Wednesday. Still some differences in our models with respect to the exact track of it, but there is definitely a potential for heavy snow to come out of the Ohio Valley, Central Appalachians on Wednesday, move across the Mid-Atlantic.
Bob Oravec at the National Weather Service. A polar vortex expected to send temperatures plunging across the Rockies and the northern plains. Temperatures in northeastern Montana predicted to drop as low as 45 degrees below zero. Efforts to streamline government reached the FDA over the weekend. Sources say recently hired employees who review the safety of food ingredients, medical devices, and other products were fired Saturday evening. Meanwhile, there are reports that the IRS will lay off thousands of probationary workers as soon as this week. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Heard me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
I'm going to let you in on a little wireless hack that can cut your cell phone bill in half. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile have convinced you need unlimited data. Fact is, most people don't. Pure Talk only charges $25 a month for unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data plus hotspot. Stop overpaying for wireless. Dial pound 250 and say spend less. And you'll save an additional 50% off.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first alert forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Looking for a cruise vacation?
Cruise.com is offering its exclusive sale of the year to all listeners to this station. Every major cruise line, including Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Princess, MSC, and more, are on sale now. Call 1-800-507-9264 and book one of these deals while supplies last. Cruises start from as low as $39 per person per day. There isn't a better vacation value to places like Alaska, Europe, the Caribbean, South America, and more. Call one of the largest cruise specialists in the world at 1-800-507-9264. We'll find you a vacation that includes drinks, Wi-Fi, excursions, and more. Call 1-800-507-9264. That's 1-800-507-9264. Space is limited. Don't miss your opportunity to book the best deal of the year. That's 1-800-507-9264. Sponsored by Cruise.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up, St. Louis.
Will you guys knock it off?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin Bob.
All right. Death has returned to the Show Me State thanks to the voting of a slight majority in November. The big question is going to be, where do we go from here? We'll get into that here in just a minute or so. Also, MAGA baby mama drama kind of took over social media this weekend.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see the reaction that some people got when they said, hey, maybe we ought to actually say, there's a better way.
Right.
Than what you're celebrating right now.
Kind of wild.
It really was kind of wild. So, because the prevailing thought right now is we're winning. Stop questioning anybody. If we're winning, then you say yes to everything they do. And don't question. Stop with your principles and morals. Well, what's the point of winning if it's not for principles and morals and flourishing and human flourishing and all these
This
things?
is definitely a conversation that needs to be had on the right now.
I'm glad for the things that Elon Musk is bringing to light. I wish he'd keep his pants on. and I don't think that's incompatible. I think that you can push back on your friends to go, you ever thought about cleaning up your life a little bit?
Right.
Maybe setting a better example.
Right.
But anyway, we'll get into that right around 8:20. And the Redbirds are back in Florida. It is 8:06. Let's go and dump some news on you here.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right, at least one preborn child has been legally killed in Missouri. It happened at the Planned Parenthood in Kansas City over the weekend after a judge struck down the state's licensing requirements for abortion clinics. And we're talking basic health standards and licensing requirements.
Yeah.
That ruling follows the passage of Amendment 3 in November, which essentially legalized most abortions in the state and basically made illegal basic health and safety standards.
Yeah, in our conversation with Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life earlier today, which will be available on podcast, and I think we're going to have it on the replay tomorrow.
Probably.
He kind of outlined some of the really, really basic things that were struck down by Amendment 3 in terms of requiring a doctor to be there and do the thing. Just simple things. Requiring sterilization of the tools.
Stuff that you would expect and demand from the minute clinic, in your pharmacy.
Yeah.
That you would demand and expect from your, what do you call them? The urgent cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the basic stuff.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If the left's argument that abortion is healthcare falls apart when it has to follow no healthcare rules whatsoever.
Abortion activists say killing is going to resume at the St. Louis Planned Parenthood at any time, and that's assuming that it hasn't already. But media, of course, tried to make this a big dramatic, coverage, saying this is really meaningful.
Like a restoration of some sort.
It's just ghoulish.
It's disgusting.
Absolutely ghoulish. Okay, a winter storm is moving into the area, and originally we thought it was going to be early tomorrow morning, but latest forecast still is keeping up on this, saying it could move in later tonight before early tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
right?
we may see the beginnings of it late tonight, 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m.
Wow.
And it'll increase from there.
As of right now, the forecast is for the snow to be anywhere from 6, 9, 12 inches through the metro area.
6 to 9 in the metro area, but
Yeah.
7 to 12 south of here and a bit lighter north of here, but 6 to 9 for metro.
So throughout Tuesday and early Wednesday, it is possible that we could be looking at an inch of snow per hour at times. So we're
Man.
looking at a lot of snow,
Mhm.
no ice and sleet falling with it. And this is kind of the fluffy snow. So
Right.
this is the sledding snow, not the snowman snow,
Mhm.
if that makes any sense. If
Yes.
you remember when you were a kid.
Mhm.
But what that means is that hopefully the roads are all being pre-treated right now.
Mhm.
So once this starts, even though we're talking about a lot of snow, it should be manageable for the highway and the road crews. Still expect stuff to get canceled.
Yeah, we're talking basically single, relatively fast pass sort of
Right.
snow that'll just shovel right out of the way, as opposed to some of the heavy stuff, the stuff full of ice and things like that takes a lot of extra work and treatment and things like that. It shouldn't be that.
But keep in mind, we're going to have bitterly cold temperatures.
Oh,
That's another thing
for
yeah.
a couple of nights.
Mhm.
So
bundle up.
One of the nights it'll be Wednesday morning, could be 4 or 5 below zero.
Actual temperature.
Yes.
We're not talking wind chill. That's the
Correct.
actual temperature.
Yeah.
So dangerously cold. If you, that's one of those things where if you know somebody who's vulnerable, reach out to them.
Yep.
You know, make sure that they're not trying to live on space heaters and give them your spare bedroom or
Mhm.
something like that. for
Make
now.
sure they
So-
know where the warming centers are.
Yep.
Too.
And bring your pets inside.
Definitely. All right.
Plus they're huskies. They'll love it.
Oh,
That's true.
they will, absolutely. All right. The head of Doge, Elon Musk, of course, facing scrutiny for basically what he's exposing and what's leading to a lot of sweeping reform across the federal government. But a lot of people are angry that basically the bromance between Musk and President Trump.
Is that their main? That's their main push.
Well,
right now?
that's like what they're trying to say right now, because it's like, oh yeah, they're just scratch your back, I'll scratch mine.
Oh, it's the rich guys club thing. They're trying to pull the yeah. So it's amazing. We talked about this during the information segment. It feels as though the left is advocating for the face hugger from Alien.
Well, and yes, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like this. America is on its back. It's breathing heavy. It's got this giant alien spider monster on its face and wrapped around its throat. And Elon's trying to figure out how to get this thing off. And the left. The left is the person in the back who's like, well, why don't we think about the face huggers' feelings? That's kind of what it feels like right now.
Oh my goodness. Matter of fact, in the next day or so, there's going to be a hearing in a federal court somewhere with a lawsuit that's trying to stop Doge from doing what it's doing.
Right.
From digging into all of those records and finding all
So
of this.
stupid.
Yeah. Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat out of Virginia, was on Fox News Sunday talking about all this.
The message out of the gate is this is a group of people that want to pad their own pocket. They're going to cut things to try to amass a lot of dollars that they're then going to use to do tax cuts for the wealthiest. And that's the playbook we saw in the first Trump term. And I think we're seeing it again.
Remember when those tax cuts for the wealthiest made everybody better? It made everything.
Geez.
It literally did. It made everything better. Here's one of the things that I really hate about what the left does with their language is like it's tax cuts for the wealthiest. What they mean is because the basis number is so much bigger for the wealthiest. When they get a really tiny percentage tax cut, the raw number of tax dollars they get back is going to be really, really high. Yeah. But that's because they pay so much in taxes. Right. It's not because they're getting our money. You didn't make the $30,000 that they're going to get off of their tax bill. Right. That's not your money.
Correct.
You're getting now. You're going to get the $5,000 that the tax cut shaved off of your tax bill. So just I don't know, be happy and shut up.
Yeah, and keep fighting though for that's my money, and that's your money.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like tax cuts for billionaires or for the wealthy. Well, first of all,
that's their money.
Any of us keeping our own money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, my protein bar there got a little bit of a chocolate there. All right. Let's see. I got time for a few more stories here.
Yeah, one more.
President Trump putting the world on notice with his plan to impose what I told you about last week that you're going to start hearing a lot of: reciprocal tariffs. Here's the story.
The president has directed his administration's top trade officials to outline a new series of tariffs, calling it a matter of fairness.
We're just going to do it the easy way, and we're just going to say whatever you charge, we charge. And I think that's fair for the people of the United States.
He predicted the tariffs would lead to more U.S. jobs, but acknowledged prices could go higher in the short term. The reciprocal tariffs aren't scheduled to take effect until at least April. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Okay, and make no mistake about it. If those go into effect, and if you support them and you think the president's got the right long-term plan, and you got to push back, okay, let's understand that will drive up costs. It will drive up cost. It will make things more expensive.
Yeah, in the short term, it's definitely going to be a bump, especially depending on the length of the supply chain for whatever we're talking about is getting thing. Yeah, it'll average somewhere like a 9-month lag before the price changes come in, but it is inflationary. It definitely is an inflationary force.
Without a doubt. Okay, the cold weather and the shorter daylight hours can lead to what's called seasonal affective disorder these days, especially in the Midwest, basically making the winter months tougher to get through emotionally. We're not even talking just about the cold weather and physically. At least that's according to some medical professionals. Here's the theory. The theory is that getting less sunlight and the natural vitamin D that comes from that has a physical impact on us. Bailey Pyle is from Burrell Behavioral Health in Branson and says you can still get sunlight even if you can't get outdoors this week with all these crazy cold weather that Stell was telling us about.
Maybe it means you're reading your favorite book by an open window and getting filtered sunlight that way. We can eat hearty and nutritious foods that can help sustain and fulfill that energy need that oftentimes vitamin D gives us from the sun.
Okay, so seasonal affective disorder is not the same thing as depression. It is not the same thing as mental illness. Basically, it's winter blues, and there are some medical professionals and mental health professionals who are saying it's kind of a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
So take that into note.
Yes, our buddy Chris Arps will tell you it's a real thing. He deals with it every winter.
Is that because of the winter and seasonal affective disorder, or is that because he's a Cowboys fan?
Well, I was going to say,
which happens in winter as well.
He's a Texan, so
Yeah.
Just so happens.
I mean, that could be that. I'm just saying, just explore that aspect. There may be another variable. All right, the Cardinals full squad back in Jupiter reporting today their first spring training game. Believe it or not, is this coming Saturday.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Now that full squad includes certain.
Well, it includes Nolan Arenado.
Mhm.
You know, he's reporting. He's part of the team.
Right.
Cardinals were not able to get rid of the best third baseman in the game and future Hall of Famer, who happens to be in the prime of his career right now.
So wild as
And the thing
when you
is-
say it.
Yeah, and I would think that Nolan Arenado would be the team captain should he stay on the roster this year. This is his team, and by all accounts, he's an excellent leader. And the Cardinals just want to get rid of the big salary because they don't want to pay for the quality this year.
Pretty much it.
So we'll see what's going to happen. Don't expect much out of Saturday's game, by the way. The first one out there is the don't pull your hamstring game. Just saying out there. That's going to be interesting. But yeah, the full squad reporting today.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your cousin.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
From starter home to stepping stone, Mama Bear makes this journey her own. With rays that shine and care so true, your home alone dreams are coming through.
Hey, parents, remember when your Cubs took their first steps? Well, now they're ready for their biggest step yet, buying a home. Just like you're there to guide them, Mama Bear Mortgage is here to protect their journey into homeownership. Call me today at 314-775-1026 or visit mamabearmortgage.com.
Missouri NMLS 2557717.
Ackerman Toyota is number one in sales for 2024. That is 2 years in a row. It's really no surprise. Ackerman has the largest customer lounge where you can relax, take your time choosing new or premium pre-owned. Ackerman at Hampton and 44. AckermanToyota.com. Thank you for making Ackerman Toyota number one 2 years in a row. AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
Looking for the perfect Valentine's gift that won't break the bank? Anthony's Produce has romance covered. Order the Valentine's Special, a dozen roses and a dozen chocolate-covered strawberries for $39.99. Call or book yours today at 636-936-0496 or visit anthonysproduce.com. Plus, we have gorgeous handcrafted fruit bouquets, seasoned firewood, and fresh produce daily. Anthony's Produce, open 7 days a week. 701 Jugaman Road and anthonysproduce.com.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on News Talk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When the lights.
All right, I'm going to be really curious what people have to say about this,
Mhm.
whether it's on social media or give me a call, 314-912-1019. MAGA baby mama drama over the weekend.
That's a proper term, I think.
MAGA baby mommy drama.
Yeah.
Baby mama drama.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. But the interesting thing to me is the divide and the debate that happened on social media, because a few conservatives within the whole MAGA thing, because MAGA itself's not particularly conservative.
Right.
But there were a few people who said, hey, guys, wait a minute. Can we not? Can we not celebrate just because some of our people? So what happened here, and it's 8:20 right now, by the way, is Ashley St. Clair. And I still have not figured out why she's like a conservative influencer. I don't know what made her famous. She shows up in my social media feeds. I've never actually followed her. I don't really know anything about her. I'm like, but she's got a bazillion followers. I don't know what's made her popular other than she's kind of pretty.
Yeah, she's.
I don't know. Maybe she's got cred. I don't know.
She's known as a conservative political commentator.
Right.
I don't know how she got kind of
I don't know.
catapulted to the level that she currently.
I mean, maybe she's got some credentials and she's legit. I don't know, but so she creates a stir over the weekend when she goes on social media and announces that she had Elon Musk's latest baby. She's got a 5-month-old baby. And this is Elon Musk's 13th child. And she's the, third, fourth, fifth baby mama?
Yeah, something like that.
Out there. And she puts this announcement up and does the whole respect my privacy. And by the way, here's my public relations agent's contact information kind of thing. And then there was some baby mama drama in that we've been trying to reach out to you to, have our agreement to take care of this child and please, that sort of thing. And so many people in the whole MAGA influencer thing and conservative influencer thing, like, this is wonderful. Congratulations. This is great. And Matt Gaetz may have said the dumbest thing I've seen.
Right.
He's like, God bless this family. It's not a family.
It's not a family.
Elon Musk just runs around and jams it in whatever he can. I mean, the guy's got the morals of an alley cat, personally. But then there were some other people within the conservative movement and the conservative part that intersects with MAGA. And they said, hey, maybe we shouldn't be celebrating a guy just spreading his seed everywhere. Maybe we shouldn't, maybe we should be valuing an intact family where a guy is devoted to the mother and is there to rear his children, because without a doubt, Ashley St. Clair has punched the lottery ticket of baby mama.
Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, in terms of the lifestyle she's going to be living
in luxury.
Yeah.
Because Elon Musk's like, fine, $1 million a month, whatever, whatever they're going to do. And of course, then he hasn't really responded to it. But I thought it was interesting that some people said, happy to see what Doge is doing. Glad that censorship's being eradicated from X or Twitter. But at the same time, can we point out and go, that's really not good.
Right.
The babies are a blessing.
Yes.
That's absolutely
glad the baby was born.
But maybe let's not celebrate casual sex and baby mama drama.
Yes.
Just because the people are on our side.
Yeah. The typical, conservative, moral, high ground that we used to occupy back in the day. I guess it peaked in the 80s moral right, sort of 80s, 90s moral right sort of thing. Now that's, I think, when they stretched out a little too far.
Yes.
Got a little over their skis on it. But
they wanted government to enforce, basically the most strict legalistic theology. They wanted the government to have, and that was
way far over their skis.
It was dumb.
Yeah. Now to their point though about the moral underpinnings, they were absolutely correct the idea of promotion at least isn't beyond the pale in terms of the idea of a solid singular family, mother, father, married for life.
Right.
They produce children. That is a building block for Western society.
Yeah.
That is absolutely a true thing. It's actually even true. We discussed it in terms of human happiness, right? Like the happiest people are the ones in those sorts of situations. So we're just saying the best thing for society and the best thing for individuals is this sort of family unit. So maybe we should stop celebrating all of the alternative non-family units that are out there.
And then some of the reaction that I saw was, hey, we're winning. We're owning the libs. Don't question. Just be glad and move on. So the idea is we're winning politically right now. We're kicking the left's butt right now.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, don't criticize our team.
Right.
Well, there are things bigger than politics and policy.
Yes. And to me, what we've got here is a sort of wrong-headed view of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Because yes, absolutely. From a political standpoint, every political party, each of the political parties need to be aspiring towards the biggest tent possible. That means you are welcoming to people who disagree with you on some of these moral things.
Sure, yeah.
That's necessarily so because politics is a numbers game. But here's what the left usually does with their big tent is they still have. Now, I won't call it a moral center, especially considering how much they've moved on a lot of things. But there used to be a sort of standards like, okay, here's our position. You can be included, even though you kind of disagree with us on this,
Sure,
and this. But you can be included in this political discussion. But we're not changing our position on this.
Mm-hmm.
Right now the left they court the Muslim vote, right?
Right.
But
they feel entitled to
they feel entitled to the Muslim vote. But the thing is, they're not going to let the Muslim discussions about morality influence their positions on gay marriage and abortion and things like that.
No, they just say, hey, we're anti-Semitic too.
Right. Exactly. So, but it's interesting when you look at it that way. It's like somehow the left managed to have a moral center, even though it's an immoral center, and they guard it against influences from those who are included in their Big Tent. Why can't the right do the same in that we protect the conservative central ideas of while we are accepting those who maybe their Venn diagram doesn't quite completely envelop our circle. We need to be able to take the Elon Musks of the world and say, you know what, I really appreciate the idea of your fiscal responsibility. I really appreciate your ideas
just
about
doing phenomenal work right now.
Your freedom of speech stance is like all those things are great. But here's the moral underpinnings that we believe here over here in the conservative side.
Conservatism used to mean something. It was among other things, self-regulation. We don't need government because we have a foundation of principles and morals,
and we have other institutions whose job is to do that.
We believe in the civil institutions and the foundations of society that don't rely on government, and so we kind of expected more of ourselves.
Oh yeah,
but now it seems like with the influencer mindset that it's as long as we're winning, shut up, and
Right.
But the reality is that from 2016. The right has increasingly divorced itself from any sort of moral foundation. And conservatism, I think, has lost as much as leftism has lost in the last couple of years. So at least from a perspective of culture, is it time for us to say, maybe we need to reflect on what conservatism means? That doesn't mean I want to pass any laws and means that I want government to enforce the way that I live my life. But shouldn't we be able to go, hey, maybe don't go impregnate every woman that you can get into bed and still be celebrated
by
people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's It kind of goes back to what I was fearful of when we were in this expansion thing, and we were getting a lot of young people kind of joining the conservative movement, mostly though as anti-lib.
Yeah,
they were mostly the own the lib bros on the internet who said, yeah, so that means then I'm on the right. Sort of. I mean, it's like
some of them have come around.
We'll take it. It's like we'll take it. I absolutely really appreciated what sort of becoming countercultural meant to our prospects, but I was worried then, and I'm even more worried now that the conservative establishment wasn't prepared and hasn't really been doing anything to convert the potential of the anti-left into pro-conservative.
Right. To say, here's why there's been such a backlash here. And the left went so far.
Yeah. It was easy to reject
so far.
The left.
With what Donald Trump correctly called lunacy.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. But at this point, it's like, okay, so we're going to rightly slam their lunacy, but just wink and nod at ours.
Right.
And for instance, with Elon Musk, you can support the work that Doge is doing. You can support his commitment to freedom of speech, which he's passionate about, and I think's been a net positive. Even though I think Twitter and X has become a cesspit.
Oh, it was already, dude. It was just like right now. It's just a balanced cesspit.
Yeah, really. You're just allowed to. Anybody can say whatever they but I'd rather have more free speech than not. But at some point where you're slamming your own side, like you don't get to criticize, the alley cats on our side. As long as they're on our side, it's all good.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, no.
And then like when I saw Matt Gaetz post, he's like, God bless this family. That's not a family, you moron.
Right.
It's just not. This is a guy who's a multi-billionaire who can bed down whoever he wants and then just, have his accountant send checks out.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what family is.
That's not family.
No. Before you want to talk about God bless this family, know what a family is, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to have more people willing to stand up and go, hey, maybe we shouldn't celebrate this part of your life.
Right.
Ashley St. Clair is not a victim.
No, not certainly
by any stretch of the imagination.
No. She knew what she was doing.
Yeah. Elon Musk is not a victim of a baby mama drama.
Mm-hmm.
This is all, listen, live your life and take responsibility. But the bottom line is a child wants a family that's intact and both parents there.
Right.
That's probably not going to happen.
Just because he's going to be a rich kid doesn't mean he's going to have the best upbringing with dad not in the home.
Yeah, that doesn't matter whether it's conservative or leftist. So let's stand for something.
I wanna get back.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Leah Hill with your first low forecast. This morning, if you're north of 70, very light snow is possible between about 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. Once that clears, after accumulating a dusting to upwards of an inch, we will remain cold. Temperatures in the lower 20s, a wind chill in the teen, falling to the single digits overnight. We have first alert weather days on Tuesday and Wednesday as accumulating snowfall is likely. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Leah Hill.
Fox News commentary.
President Trump made a special appearance at the Daytona 500 and the reception was red hot. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Something amazing is happening in business. More companies are turning to Mac. From finance to fulfillment, CDW will seamlessly support Mac integration into your organization. With the power of Apple Silicon, best-in-class security, and compatibility across your favorite apps, your team will have the performance they need and the tools they love. Make amazing happen. Mac and CDW. Learn more at cdw.com/Apple.
President Trump is a man of the people, whether he's signing executive orders and taking rapid-fire questions in the Oval Office or making appearances at sporting events. He is in his element, and this is his era. That was made apparent by the reception he received over the weekend when he attended the Daytona 500 race. The special day included the Beast taking a lap around the track, President Trump delivering a message to the drivers, and waving to the crowd with his granddaughter by his side. And when the camera panned to him during the national anthem, the crowd went wild. You know, it's a stark contrast to the Democrats who are literally foaming at the mouth and spewing swear words left and right. What a time to be alive. Kamala Harris could never be this cool, by the way. And the only time Joe Biden riled up a sports crowd was when they were calling him Brandon and some other names. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Hey, it's Susie Moore to tell you about Michael's Flooring. Michael's is known for quality, variety, and an all-around great experience. Installing new flooring should be exciting, not a hassle you dread. Michael's has solved that, and their long list of happy repeat customers is proof. They've been locally owned and operated for more than 30 years. Carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, ceramic tile, it doesn't matter. Michael's Flooring, with 3 locations, St. Peter's, Dardine Prairie, and Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Attention St. Louis small business owners. Dive into the power of video with Blue Ocean Media Group. We create affordable, eye-catching content that makes waves on social media and strengthens your brand. Don't let big budgets hold you back. Our professional team delivers pro quality at small business prices. Boost your online presence, engage customers, and watch your business grow. Visit blueomg.com today to start your video journey. That's blueomg.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Yes, I listen on my phone.
Download the News Talk STL app.
News Talk STL.
Streaming live on the mobile app. It is awesome. And listen anytime.
Love the News Talk STL app.
Anywhere.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
One of the cool things about the evolution of what we've seen over the past few years of Missouri's politics is that we've gone from talking about, okay, which tax should we cut taxes to which taxes should we cut to which are the first taxes we should cut.
Right.
I like that momentum.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And now we looked at it's possible. We see that it's doable. And now it really comes down to putting pressure on the lawmakers to actually make it happen. All right, it's 8:36 right now. Mike Ferguson here. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Stel Ponticus here. We are going to keep you updated throughout the day on this incoming weather pattern that's going to be here in, it's going to be here in less than 24 hours. It's going to be here maybe in, 18 hours?
Probably actually more like maybe 16 hours.
16 hours.
Yeah,
okay.
Around midnight or so, we may see that front edge of the light snow entering the area. But boy, it's going to come down pretty good.
So I think maybe I should just for a moment, let me act like the mainstream media in St. Louis right now. Panic! Panic! I don't know how we're going to survive.
Get your milk.
Go buy stuff.
Get your eggs. Get your toast. Your French toast.
Yes, you got to get the. Now they're really expensive now because of the eggs.
Yeah, that's right. But basically, use common sense. You'll be fine.
Oh, the milk too. Sorry, forgot about the milk.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got joined now by State Senator Nick Schroer, and Nick a little bit earlier today, and I want to come back to this in a few minutes. We spoke with Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life, about the impact of what's happening with Amendment 3 and everything that's we've been warned about is coming to fruition. And so I want to put that little nugget in people's heads to say that we want to go to see what's next and what can be done to try to save lives. We'll get to that in just a few minutes here. But let me start with that tax cut question here. We've got now a debate over, okay, which tax should be cut first? And there are some impassioned arguments happening, and I got to tell you, I love it.
It's the best argument to have.
Is that where happening? But it wasn't that long ago that very conversation would have been, well, that's just irresponsible. We have to think about, making sure that the government is fiscally sound. Is there anybody who does not accept that some kind of tax cuts must be delivered this year in Jefferson City?
Well, I think there's still all those conversations happening. Yes, you now have different groups saying, well, wait a second, we want to cut personal property first. You have other groups like me saying, I don't care what tax we cut first, if it's personal property, real estate, real property, I don't care. Give me my money and let me spend it how I see fit. We're going to have a school choice argument tomorrow in the Education Committee. Myself and Senator Rick Bratton, we've got a bill that would allow a tax offset for people that are spending above and beyond what they're not utilizing in their public schools. But you still have some Republicans saying, well, when it comes to personal property tax cuts, that money goes to these good resources. When it comes to income tax, you still have our budget being, massively impacted by getting rid of the income tax. So you will still have those Republicans that are cautiously optimistic. You still have some that are Republican in name only, but I think that list is starting to dwindle now that we have a governor for using the bully pulpit saying you're going to cut taxes and you're going to cut them this year.
Morning, Nick. Gabe here. So, which do you think is going to win out, the personal property tax cuts or the income tax cuts?
Well, here's where I think this is going to all come to fruition is the income tax, because you have such a large group, a large swath of Republican senators, myself included, Ben Brown, many others, Adam Schnelting from our area, Brad Hudson. You've group in the House that are Ben Keithley that are trying to cut the income tax as well, Bishop Davidson. So I do think that there is a massive push with the governor's office to get the income tax cut finalized this year. Now, that being said, there are a bunch of different approaches, myself included, Adam Schnelting and many others, that are trying to get rid of the personal property tax, trim it, or phase it out. So my hope is that we can get both of those done, and we can start competing with great states like Texas and Arkansas, Florida, Texas, you name it, all these different states that are in the top of attracting businesses and attracting people to move there. They all have one thing in common. Well, two things in common. They've got Republican-led governor's offices and legislatures, but they also have no income tax.
So while the personal property tax is, at least in my opinion, the most immoral tax, the income tax is the juiciest target right now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think all taxation is theft. And when people say, did I hear that right? Yes, all taxation is theft. I want to get rid of all taxation. I think the income tax is immoral. Whether you start talking about, look, you're stealing money from people who are working their butts off. And then when you go to the personal property tax, you've already been taxed on this money. You've been taxed when you made the money. Now you're being taxed every single year on things that you bought. So, and then look at the capital gains tax. You've already been taxed on it, and that's another one that's moving through the House right now. The Missouri House is getting rid of the Missouri taxation when it comes to your investments, capital gains tax. So I think all of this taxation is immoral. So we're going to see what we can get done and how much money we're going to put back in the pockets of Missourians this year.
And of course, then the flip side argument is always, but we have to do it responsibly, which basically means, but we still have to make sure that government comes first and is funded. So prove the math that government won't be denied too much of the funds. So how do we make that transition? I just assume you cut the taxes and then cut all the spending that goes with it. That's my argument, but that's the libertarian in me on there. So how do we make the numbers work so that, we have highways and fire departments and things like that?
Well, that's exactly it. You cut spending, you trim the fat. And when you have less money coming into your family, to your business, you got to look around and say, well, do we really need DirecTV? Do we really need Netflix and Apple Plus? Do we really need the guy to come over and poop scoop for us, or can we do it ourselves? And that's what we need to do in government, is go back to the core responsibilities of government, is preserving your constitutional rights for we the people. And unfortunately, when it comes budget time, we're going to see a ton of money being spent. And, the Freedom Caucus has took a stand saying, look, there's talks on funding a new stadium and funding all of these pet projects for all these bureaucrats. No, we need to put an end to that, because that's going to be the way that we're going to successfully cut taxes and not implode all of these services that protect life, liberty, and property, like your roads, like your bridges, like interstate commerce, and like law enforcement.
We're visiting with State Senator Nick Schroer. Speaking of life and speaking of the Freedom Caucus, about a year ago, right now, the Freedom Caucus was warning us. If we do not get initiative petition reform put into place, this is what's going to happen. They're going to put a radical pro-abortion ballot and spend tens of millions of dollars to pass it. That's exactly what happened. Republican leadership, got in the way. We know what happened all through there. Over the weekend, abortions have resumed in Missouri. Killing is resumed in Missouri at this point. We spoke with Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life a little bit earlier today, Nick. Obviously, he's trying to work with the legislature to do something, but the reality is that the amendment is now in the state constitution, and there was a terrible ruling over the weekend, although expected because it follows Amendment 3, the Caleb Brown amendment, that basic licensing requirements for abortion clinics have been struck down. So there's really not much to stop essentially any abortion in Missouri right now. Is there anything the legislature can do to at least put some guardrails on the extremes at this point?
Yeah, there is. There's a lot that we can do. And I'll do you one better. We were warning you about this before there was a Freedom Caucus. We were warning you in 2019, myself, Adam Schnelting, Bob Onder, all three of us worked diligently on my bill, House Bill 126, which ultimately led to phasing out of abortion in the state of Missouri. And you hear the Democrats saying, rare and safe, rare and safe. Well, we warned you that this is going to happen, and it wasn't going to be rare and safe if we didn't fix the initiative petition process. We're going to see exactly what we saw last year, and that's out-of-state millionaires, even people from out of this nation. We're sending in $3.5 million to fund changing of our Constitution and allowing this unfettered access to abortion, unfettered access to murdering your child at any stage of the pregnancy. So as of right now, like you said, there was a court ruling allowing an unrestricted, unlicensed, unsupervised form of abortion. And we saw what happened when it was supervised, when it was licensed. It was still a massive threat to the health and safety, not only of women, but of these children that survive abortions as well. So there are two things that we can do ultimately is give the people another opportunity to vote on this, like we did with Clean Missouri, or Dirty Mo, like I used to call it. But unfortunately, passing a resolution, getting it on the ballot, and educating people what is actually in our laws and what is not in our laws. There was a well-funded, massively funded lying campaign, and I can show you the receipts. Just go back to Stand and Fight over the past couple of weeks when we've been talking about this. But there's also another opportunity that we can utilize the holes in Amendment 3, the very broad language the legislature needs to get in there and define. And exactly what does Amendment 3 mean? There are a lot of these very broad, undefined terms, such as reproductive health care, all of the different things when it comes to sexual transitions, and even the people prescribing the abortion saying, it's late in the game, you're 32 weeks, but since you're talking to me right now, I think that it would probably be in your best interest mentally if you would go ahead and get the abortion. Based upon the language in Amendment 3, that person doesn't have to be a licensed physician, a licensed practitioner whatsoever. So we need to define these terms. And I will tell you, there's a little bit of breaking news. Over the weekend, Cindy O'Loughlin spoke to a lot of the Republicans. We're going to be having a press conference on this issue at high noon today in the state capitol, discussing this very issue and what we're going to be doing to protect life in Missouri.
All right. State Senator Nick Schroer, we've already tagged you on social media as well. Really appreciate the update, and really looking forward to see which taxes get cut in the state. Hopefully that we've got the process and the leadership now that's actually going to see the big stuff through.
Absolutely. Cut taxes, save life, and keep trucking.
Yep, that's right. Thanks, Nick. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
God bless you, boys.
All right, 8:47 right now. Got some thoughts on that? Let me know. 314-912-1019. Want to point out that if you believe in free speech, you know what that means, don't you, Gabe?
What was that?
That means that you sympathize with Nazis.
With free speech?
Margaret Brennan told me so on Face the Nation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, frankly, Margaret, I don't care.
Yeah. I'm going to let you hear from her directly on this. And Secretary of State Marco Rubio's excellent response to her. Let's do that right around 8:51.
For podcasts, articles, and more, find us on newstalkstl.com.
Every girl crazy about it, shine as me.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Attention reptile lovers, ready to discover your next scaly friend? Welcome to the Show Me Reptile Shop, your ultimate destination for fascinating reptiles and exotic pets, with 3 convenient locations in Troy, St. Peters, and Springfield. We have an amazing selection of snakes, lizards, turtles, and more. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or a curious beginner, we've got the perfect pet waiting for you. Show Me Reptile Shop. Visit us in Troy, St. Peters, or Springfield, and online at showmereptileshow.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-6766. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
President Trump signing EO after EO. Keep them coming.
E-I-E-I-O.
We'll talk to Rob Bluey from the Heritage Foundation and the Daily Signal all about that Monday at 9:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. News, analysis,
I'm glad you're talking about this.
Opinion.
I'm glad you're fired up about it, too, because I know I am.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, you know, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
To see Sheryl Crow made a poignant statement over the weekend.
Oh, did she?
Oh, yes, because she's important, you know.
Yes,
Just
and
ask.
she makes the many poignant
Yes,
statements, right? Yeah.
So I guess she had a Tesla.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So she sold the Tesla because she didn't want to be aligned with Elon Musk anymore.
Oh, gosh.
And she took the money she made from the Tesla and donated it to NPR.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, so such impactfulness.
I am touched.
In the head.
I am touched, yeah.
By this stupidity. My goodness, what is wrong with these people? They really are.
Made a social media post and everything.
They live on a different planet.
They think they are so important.
They do.
I mean, it's like I'm looking at this. I'm like, you know, the news story is you're an idiot, right? I know she's from Missouri. She's like, she got her start here in the area. We're supposed to be like, you know, Missouri gal, you know, what?
Yeah,
nobody cares.
I don't
what
really
car
care,
you drive.
Margaret.
You know, nobody cares.
That's the new thing. I need to say it more.
That's
I don't
right.
really care, Margaret.
Oh my goodness! All right, 8:51 right now. Okay, so speaking of Margaret, Margaret stuck her foot in her mouth again. So here's the background on this. We talked last week about J.D. Vance giving his first sort of major international address when he was in Europe. He was in Germany, and he frankly confronted some of our allies on some things that they need, the administration feels they need to step up on.
He called them out.
By
Rightfully
all
so.
accounts, whether you agree or disagree with J.D. Vance, he had a very effective speech, and he held his own. So, you know, media is going to critique, media is going to push back, especially if you've got a Republican in the White House. Okay, fine. You know, they can disagree.
Whatever.
And then there was a bunch of debate over what J.D. Vance said regarding NATO and other nations putting the funding up. And then he also sort of addressed, listen, some of you in democratic societies, not necessarily republics, but Democrats, democratic societies.
Part of Western society.
Right. You are abandoning your duty to protect the rights of your citizens, especially when it comes to free speech.
Yes.
And that was part of the confrontation that happened.
And he's right.
And he is absolutely right. Matter of fact, there's a CBS 60 Minutes, story that's now resurfaced. I don't think it's brand new.
I think this is new, or it's not new. I don't think it's new. Yeah,
where some CBS news photographers were embedded with German police, literally going with them for late night raids into people's houses, arresting them for social media posts that people thought were offensive. That is a real thing that actually happened. I don't know how old that story is, but I saw it everywhere over the last 12 hours or so. It's not brand new. The story is not new, but it does drive home the point. In Germany, where J.D. Vance was, this is how bad it's got. We've seen it in England. We've seen it in Scotland. We've seen it in Australia. We've seen it in other Western nations as well.
Wait a minute. This story actually might be new.
Is it new?
I'm on CBSnews.com right now, and one of their stories from yesterday is about this specific thing. Germany is prosecuting online trolls. Here's how the country is fighting hate speech on the internet.
That was what it was all about.
Wow.
So, geez. Okay, so Margaret Brennan is interviewing on Face the Nation this weekend. She's interviewing Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and she does this big, long setup of the story, basically saying that, don't you know that free speech is what leads to Nazis? And if you think I'm kidding or taking this out of context, here's what actually happened.
He was standing in a country where free speech was weaponized to conduct a genocide. And he met with the head of a political party that has far-right views and some historic ties to extreme groups. The context of that was changing the tone of it. And you know that the censorship was specifically about the right.
No, I have to disagree with you. Free speech was not used to conduct a genocide. The genocide was conducted by an authoritarian Nazi regime that happened to also be genocidal because they hated Jews and they hated minorities and they hated those that they had a list of people they hated, but primarily the Jews. There was no free speech in Nazi Germany. There was none. There was also no opposition in Nazi Germany. They were a sole and only party that governed that country. So that's not an accurate reflection of history.
Okay, I love the fact that he went, no. I'm not going to answer this question based on your false premise. Now, he was polite in saying, I disagree. But what he said is, Margaret, the very foundation of your question is a lie. When she literally started off by saying free speech was used to facilitate a genocide. The reality is the opposite was done. Free speech was outlawed, and then government was the only propaganda game in town, and there was no dissent. Free speech equals dissent. Free speech equals challenging the mainstream ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Free speech is what was outlawed.
Yeah. Free speech is necessarily a protection of a minority.
Yeah.
I mean, now we don't like to think of it that way, but in terms of intellectual discourse, in the terms of belief systems maybe that are being discussed, when an individual goes against the mainstream grain with their speech, if the law does not protect them, then basically you're saying, okay, you're on your own. And it stands in stark contrast to this quote that I found, from this story about Germany. One of the lawyers, I think this was a discussion with 3 German lawyers, essentially, I think government lawyers who are defending their basically anti-free speech policies. And here's a quote. In the case of Germany, these boundaries, and they're talking about the boundaries around free speech.
Right.
These boundaries are a part of our constitution. Without boundaries, and listen very carefully, a very small group of people can rely on endless freedom to say anything that they want while everyone else is scared and intimidated. What? The argument that this lawyer, this German government lawyer is making is that an intimidating minority can cow everybody else with hate speech.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And this is in defense of the government boundaries around what constitutes a proper speech. It's ridiculous and it's gross.
When you have a government that says we will determine what you're allowed to say, what's really happening is they will determine eventually what you're allowed to think.
That's how it works.
And that's what they did in the 30s, especially in Germany. You would think of all people to learn that lesson, it would be the Germans.
I don't think they learned their lesson.
And neither did Margaret Brennan.
I really am a liberal, but I'm also a conservative.
No matter your side,
I'm a Democrat. I'm just a bit angry, frustrated conservative.
no matter your inclination,
I'm probably a liberal, maybe more in the middle.
we are here for your place to talk about it.
I'm the progressive liberal Democrat that you said is afraid to call you. St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
I'm sure we'll have a robust conversation.
News Talk STL.
Craving something twisted, something deliciously different? Philly Pretzel Factory in Baldwin is your ticket to pretzel heaven. We're not just talking regular pretzels. We're talking out-of-this-world pretzel creations and mind-blowing pretzel pizza. Don't get yourself in a knot searching for the perfect snack. We've got party trays, specialty items, assorted pretzel tins, plus our legendary dips. Philly Pretzel Factory in Baldwin. Online at phillypretzelfactory.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle